Exclusive coverage of the Jiffy Lube 300 on TNN is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Controls volatility and fights vaporization. By the Miller Brewing Company. Proud sponsor of the Miller Racing Team. We race for beer. By the more than 1,350 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Chevrolet. One car company has won more races in the history of NASCAR. Genuine Chevrolet.
Welcome back, everybody. We are live at New Hampshire International Speedway. The fans all set to go, and we are tickled that finally Hurricane Bertha is out of the way, and we're set to go racing after a total washout here at the track yesterday. Ricky Craven has been the story of the weekend. A pole run here on Friday that rewrote the record books. This is a great run, and Chad Little, you can appreciate how well Ricky got around this racetrack.
Yeah, and I heard Ricky make comments about it, that the car felt a little bit loose when he was qualifying. That's usually the good runs if you don't have to get out of the throttle.
And there's the reaction when the final team had run, and he realized that he had won his second Busch pole of the year. He won at Martinsville earlier this season, and interestingly, in the same race car. We had talked about how this track has long straights and tight turns, very much like the Martinsville Speedway does. Down on the pit lane, a thought from Ricky Craven.
Well, Eli, that look of surprise, pleasantry, whatever, on Ricky Craven's face after he won the pole, you really showed the emotion there, man. What a great day for you.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get emotional when you come home and you have this kind of a crowd, this kind of support. And just going to make the best of it today. I think we got a good car, real good car.
Well, Ricky Craven is hoping to get back on that roll that he was on going into the month of May. He's purchased half of this team. Obviously, he thinks they can get back there.
And most everybody else does as well. Teams have just now fired up the engines. The Sears Die Hard starting grid brought to you by the Die Hard battery. Now with more power when you need it. And there is Ricky Craven and Bobby Hamilton, who won the pole at Michigan. They share the front row. Bobby Labonte, his third New Hampshire start in the top 5. And Kyle Petty with a great qualifying effort. Dale Earnhardt, he has not led a lap in the last 3 races. Ernie Irvan, meanwhile, led 176 laps in the race here in 1994. Jeff Bodine, only his second top 10 start of the year. And Kenny Schrader, 6th in points. He was 10th here in points a year ago. Dick Trickle, best start of the year for him with Junie Donlevy. And Dale Jarrett had a 6th at Daytona. Joe Nemechek started 3rd a year ago alongside Robert Presley. Calera, Alabama's Hut Strickland shares row number 7 with Sterling Marlin, who has 3 top 10s here. Kenny Wallace qualifying in row number 8, along with Jeff Gordon. A low start for him after 4 poles in the last 5 events. Rusty Wallace, the inaugural winner here in 1993, and Lake Speed of Jackson, Mississippi. Darrell Waltrip outside, or at least inside of row number 10, along with our 1994 winner here, Ricky Rudd. Ted Musgrave of Franklin, Wisconsin. And Mark Martin, again, he has a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th place finish at this track. He's a 2-time pole winner here. Terry Labonte in 23rd, his lowest start of the year, along with Jeff Burton. Bobby Allison's driver, Derek Cope, starts 25th. And Brett Bodine, 9th a week ago at Daytona, his best showing of the year. John Andretti and Morgan Shepherd, they'll be sharing row number 14. Jimmy Spencer, 4 straight top 10 finishes now with Ward Burton on row number 15. Michael Waltrip for the Wood Brothers, and a former Busch Series winner here, Rick Mast from Rockbridge, Baths, Virginia. Bobby Hillen thought he had a better car than he showed in qualifying. He's alongside Dave Marcus in row number 17. 18th position, that's Greg Sachs inside of the row. And Randy McDonald's 2nd race of 1996, only the 3rd of his career. Bill Elliott feeling just fine, moving along nicely in the garage area. He's with Johnny Benson, who won the pole at Atlanta. Now, Jeremy Mayfield, he had an accident in qualifying. He's gone to a backup machine. Wally Dallenbach also failing to finish his qualifying run, spinning here on Friday. That wraps up the 40-car starting field and the Sears Die Hard starting grid. Now the AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 1,350 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And there you see what it translates to. 300 laps here is 1.058 miles around, so it's 317.4 miles. pit road speed 45 miles an hour. Meanwhile, the teams are still on the racetrack. Normally, we only see a couple of warm-up laps, Randy, and right now we're being told from NASCAR it could be as many as 6 pace laps. What's the story?
Well, the story is, Eli, that they need to seat the brakes in. That's usually done in happy hour on Saturday. When they go out for that last practice session, they'll put brand new brake pads on these cars, go out there and make sure they got plenty of pedal, juice up the brakes, but they haven't had an opportunity to do that, so they're out there riding their foot on the pedal, make sure they got plenty of it, so when they drive it off into turn 1 on that green flag lap, they can get it low down. So now let's go up to Glenn Jarrett, who has more. Glenn?
Well, thanks, Randy. You know, I mentioned earlier about the guys not getting much practice on race setup. I asked Robin Pemberton and Gary Dehart if they got a chance to practice at all on race setup. This was independent of each other. They weren't near each other when they told me the very same thing. They both said, yeah, we got plenty of practice on race setup. And I said, you did when? They said, in last year's race. So these guys are awfully hopeful that the setups that they brought here from the race last year will work today, because it's a guessing game right now.
Now, Glenn, let's follow up on that, and something really that I had planned to wait to bring up until middle of the day today, but you lead us in nicely here. The 2 Robert Yates cars, one driven by your brother, the other by Ernie Irvan. You talk about 2 guys out of the same corporate setup, and their setups for this day could not be any more different if they had never even known each other.
Oh, no, that's exactly right, Eli. In fact, they brought 2 different types of cars here. Ernie Irvan is in what they call a low snout car. The front frame section is dropped about 3/4 of an inch lower than the standard car. What that does is to lower the center of gravity on the car. That's the kind of car that Dale Jarrett finished second in at Richmond earlier this year. In fact, Ernie's got the same setup as Dale had at Richmond. Dale and Todd Parrott, on the other hand, got together and decided that they wanted to bring a standard chassis here. They've been having trouble making the low snout car work consistently for them. So I guess if you put it on terms of a circle, they would be about 180 degrees apart in terms of what the setup under the car is. And what this does, it gives the team a good gauge as to which works the best.
So that's some interesting strategies. A little different call on both teams here. We'll follow that story today. We talked about how well Mark Martin has run here, so why not let him carry some cameras along with us here as the field circulates here. He'll be giving us a lot of views. You see, that is technically 12 degrees of banking there in the corner, but Chad, you guys don't really use that, do you?
I pretty much thought it was very flat. How about you, buddy?
It is banked 12 degrees up there near the top of the wall, and the straightaways are flat, and they are some 1,500 feet long. We'll get some interesting views here from Jeremy Mayfield as he comes up from the rear of the field after his spin and subsequent problems. So this is going to be another interesting view we'll have for you in the course of today's event. Bobby Allison is our Grand Marshal today. He gave the command to fire the engines just a short while ago. Today, almost 30 years to the day that Bobby won his first NASCAR Winston Cup race. It happened to be the Main 100 at Oxford Plains Speedway back in July of 1966. So a nice honor for Bobby Allison here today. Normally, we'll say that everybody's coming to the green flag from Doyle Ford, but Carl Simmons is the NASCAR Busch Series chief starter, and there he is on the right of your screen, a bit under the weather today, Doyle Ford. So Carl Simmons right there with the flag in hand, waiting to give the command. Stan Setz is right beside him. Mr. Stetz is Jiffy Lube's Northeast Regional Vice President, who will be our honorary starter here today as the field will get the 1-to-go signal this next time by. As far as Chevrolet versus Ford versus Pontiac, that's how it breaks down here today. 23 Fords, 12 Chevys, 5 Pontiacs, as is the brand that Chad Little drives. All right, how patient can these fellas be now? Middle of the field, we talked about Jeff Gord, used to running well here. Terry Labonte, middle of the field. Do you have to force yourself to pace yourself here, or does that just all go out the window here in a half mile?
Eli, I think at the start of this race, these guys are going to drive as hard as they can push their car. If they're at the back of the pack and their car's good, they're going to charge as hard as they can. If they're in the middle, they're going to do the same thing. Later on in the race, they're going to find out exactly where they need to be. That's when they'll start being patient. But at the start of this race, they need to figure out what kind of changes they have to make on the first pit stop, because remember, they got no practice yesterday. Exactly
right. If you're just joining us, yesterday a total washout for both the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour, which does go back into action on Wednesday of this coming week. The Modifieds running at Riverside Park in Agawam, Massachusetts, but they were rained out here yesterday, and as a matter of fact, both events from yesterday rescheduled for September the 7th That's the weekend when the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will be running here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Glad you're with us. 300 laps, 317.4 miles for a purse of $1,419,000. Everybody's on their feet yelling and screaming, and here we go. The start of the Jiffy Lube 300. Dick Trickle got a great start. Dale Jarrett dropped back just a bit going towards turn number 1.
Eli, what they have to be careful of right now, there is some dust out there. Anytime the first couple of laps, you have to be very careful. Here they go into turn 3. You can almost see it boiling up behind the cars there. There's a little bit of dust. You have to be extremely careful the first couple of laps.
First lap, they come to the stripe. It'll be Ricky Craven who leads. 7th different race he has led this year. Middle of the pack, 3 wide, scrambling to the front as Bobby Hamilton takes the lead now in the corner.
Eli, this is also the kind of track, because it doesn't have very much banking at all, or it's really what we call flat in the corners. You're not going to see a lot of side-by-side racing through the corners. It's mostly going to be the drivers need to get down low in the corners. That's why the brakes are so important, and then drag racing down the straightaway.
So Kyle trying to force his way through there in third spot as Bobby Hamilton leads lap number 2. There's Kyle in the Coors Light entry. Earnhardt right behind him. This is the first time Bobby Hamilton has led here at Loudon. First time that team has led here at Loudon over the years. Oh, spins Dale Jarrett. Joe Nemechek. They'll spin midway down the back straightaway. Caution is on the racetrack. Dale Jarrett and Joe Nemechek will spin. Caution will fly at lap number 3 of 300, and Bobby Hamilton leads.
Well, both those cars look to be back under. Joe Nemechek still sitting there. He's refiring, as you see. Does not seem to have any damage whatsoever to the sheet metal. Neither does the Jarrett car.
Well, that's good right now, because I'm sure right now that's not what either one of them want, is to go a lap down this early in the race.
Dale Jarrett was in 11th. Joe Nemechek was running 12th to 13th. We'll take a couple of looks here and see exactly what happens. First from our speed cam. There was another car to the inside of Jarrett, too. Let's see exactly what happens.
See Jarrett there in the 88 on the outside, Robert Presley. You see Jarrett getting back in the throttle right there. Looks like the car dances a little bit. Here comes Jeff Gordon into the left rear corner, touches him. That sets him to spinning.
And Nemechek spins it himself to avoid Dale Jarrett, is the way I read that there. Looked as though he had Dale right in the crosshairs, and he just spun his own Burger King Chevy to avoid him. It happens quickly here at Loudon. We work lap number 4, the first caution flag of the afternoon. There'll be pit stops certainly as soon as we come back. Oh, we have gone back to green. You're in time to see the restart here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Jeff Gordon already up to 11th spot, and it's single file this time. While you were gone, Dale Jarrett pitted. So did Joe Nemechek, Jeremy Mayfield, Bill Elliott, Johnny Benson. They made pit stops along with Greg Sachs. Glenn, how much of a significant problem now for either Nemechek or your brother?
Nemechek looked to be okay. They changed 4 tires. He had no sheet metal damage. Dale Jarrett took a pretty severe hit in the left front. They also changed 4 tires, and the first thing they wanted to do was to look at that left front wheel, see if it had been hit, see if it knocked the toe end out. They think that it's okay. The wheel did not take a hit. Dale radioed back in that the 33 car, Robert Presley, had pinched him off a little bit, and he had to turn down the racetrack. It broke the car loose when Gordon got into it.
Meanwhile, Dick Trickle, you saw him get caught out of line. Same thing happening there to Lake Speed, and a host of cars go by. Now it's the 8 machine of Hutch Strickland who gets caught out of line.
That right there is why you don't want to be side-by-side on a flat track. There's just not the banking to hold the cars up there.
And again, don't be misled. They advertise this as a 12-degree banked corner, but all of that banking is right up near the wall. Great scramble between Ricky Rudd and Jeff Gordon at 11th spot right now.
See, Ricky driving on down in the corner. Jeff Gordon thought better of going on the outside there, getting in the corner. At this particular stage in the race, that's one thing you don't want to do, is jump on that outside and maybe break the car loose getting in the corner.
Of course, in all of those exchanges there, Sterling Marlin there, the Kodak machine, and Ricky Rudd, both obviously going by Jeff Gordon. We talked about Jeff being in 11th before, now backsliding to 13th in that exchange. There's Kenny Wallace on the move in the TIC machine, 17th spot being contested for, as we watch from Jeff Burton's car. Dale Earnhardt, meanwhile, he's scrambling as well in 4th position, inside of Kyle, who goes wide and may open it will for Ernie Irvan. Give Earnhardt 3rd now.
Chad, that seems to be very critical right now. If you get caught on the outside, you just have to slide back until you can get back in the lower groove.
Yeah, you're probably calling to your spotter and just letting him know that you need to get low, and then as soon as there's an opening, he's going to tell you to get down low and fight for your position. It's a tough thing to be stuck on the outside around the corner, especially again when they don't have the banking to hold the cars up.
So you watch Dale Earnhardt there in the 3. It's amazing how things change. I'm going to tell you guys, you're both racers, but Earnhardt at this racetrack has started 24th. He started 28th. He started 18th. And then all of a sudden, here he is. He's starting in the top 5. It's amazing. Their notes are getting better, and they had a great run. But it's not been his best track. He's finished 26th, 2nd, and 22nd. So it's been one of those mixed bag kind of places for Dale Earnhardt there in the number 3. Bobby Hamilton continues to lead as we ride with Dale Earnhardt. There's Bobby and the separation he has in the 43 from Ricky Craven in the 41 and Dale Earnhardt.
Eli, we're getting a report that the 24 is pushing very badly for Jeff Gordon right now. He actually touched the wall a while ago in that little incident.
Something to keep an eye on. Speaking of pushing, we also see Randy McDonald pushing some water out of the overflow on his car right now, though the Canadian driver still out there. Good battle for 2nd. While we quickly see a piece of debris. Something flew off to somebody up ahead there, and we just saw that piece of debris go flying by. There goes another, all going by Jeff Burton. Meanwhile, back to 2nd place, Ricky Craven holding off the challenge of Dale Earnhardt. And remember, Ernie Irvan's dad came by before. Dick Irvan came by and said, keep an eye on us. We got a car that can win here.
Ernie Irvan's the guy that can make it run. You see him right there just behind. Oh, look at this. Earnhardt's underneath Craven as they come off turn 2.
Last time, same thing, Chad. Craven couldn't keep it low, but he outpulls Dale on the straightaway.
He'll have to give way here getting into the corner. That'll probably allow Ernie to go by as well. And it does.
So Ricky Craven from 2nd to 4th. Jeff Gordon, meanwhile, bypassing Sterling Marlin, who's running in 11th. Remember earlier, Marlin and Rudd had gotten by Jeff Gordon. Now Jeff returning the honor here at lap number 14.
Eli, I don't think it's a real bad thing for your car to be a little tight at the start of a tire run here, because I would assume that the cars are going to get a little looser as they run, especially all the horsepower that the Winston Cup cars have. So a car that's a little tight at the beginning might end up working in Jeff Gordon's favor towards the end of a tire run.
I was just looking at the right rear of Jeff Gordon as we had that shot as he's going down the straightaway. You could see a little bit of cement dust on the right rear corner of that.
Randy, what are you hearing down there from Ray Evernham and the boys?
Well, the same thing. One thing I did hear from Ray, and that was this morning, they talked about breaking this race down into like 3 segments. I asked him about pit strategy and tires. He figured if they caught a caution around the 30-lap mark and Jeff was not nearer toward the front, that they would go ahead and take 2 tires to try to give themselves some track position. So if Jeff doesn't pick up a few spots and they do catch a caution, see those guys come down pit road around lap 30 or so if they catch one then, and they're going to put 2 tires on and try to grab some track position it that way. Now, if they don't, they're going to go ahead and go with 4 tires, but right now he does have a significant push, but it might come to him with 2 tires, could loosen the car up for him.
Meanwhile, up front, Bobby Hamilton, 1.03 seconds of an advantage as he continues to show the way in the STP Pontiac. We're live, but early here in New Hampshire.
Exclusive coverage of the Jiffy Lube 300 on TNN is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running.
Well, it had been better than a second, but now the lead for Bobby Hamilton, just 0.3 and closing. We're down about 5 or 6 car lengths now. The deficit for Dale Earnhardt to Bobby Hamilton as they work up into the corner here at lap number 20. In 3rd, Ernie Irvan. Ricky Craven is 4th. Kyle Petty 5th. Bobby Labonte is 6th. Jeff Bodine 7th. Kenny Schrader is 8th. Ricky Rudd 9th. And Jeff Gordon now going in the 10th spot. That was the quick lap turned in seconds ago by Ernie Irvan. He's fastest on the stopwatches at this very moment And there's Bobby Labonte now working back and getting around Kenny Schrader. He had backslid just a bit, but now he's coming right back to the front. So Bobby Labonte obviously got off pace just a bit. Is this an easy track as you see Rusty Wallace make a move and trickle as well? Is it easy to get off your rhythm here, Chad Little?
I think it's a tough track to keep your rhythm. I don't know, once you get it, it's one of those deals. If your car's working right, your rhythm's probably going to stay with you. If your car's off, you've really got to dig down deep inside you to find that rhythm again. It's pretty hard on you physically in the corners. A lot of G-forces on the neck, on the shoulders, and the arms in the corner. So you just got to try to find that rhythm. You rely a lot on your crew and your spotter to help you do that.
And there you see 13th spot was changing hands there moments ago as Rusty Wallace moves up. And there's what's happening up front. Also of significance, let's get the clock here from Ernie Irvan back to Craven now is 1 3/4 seconds. So these front three pulling away from the 4th place runner Ricky Craven now comfortably, and before long they'll be catching up with the tail end of the field and Randy McDonald. If you're a Terry Labonte fan, he is still mired in 23rd position. He started there. He has not moved at all. He has neither progressed nor regressed. He's just sitting there in 23rd spot.
Eli, watching Terry Labonte go through the corner here, the center part of the corner is becoming the real part of this race right now. The car that gets through the center part really gets a better run down the straightaway. This car's handling right now, it's really showing up as Labonte makes his move going in the corner. When he picks the throttle up, watch what happens to you.
That's for 22nd. And Terry will grab that spot. Glenn Jarrett, we watched the battle for the lead, and I want to get a thought from you in a second here on Terry Labonte, but let's stay with Bobby Hamilton and Dale Earnhardt for just a second and see if there's a change coming here, because Earnhardt was starting to rumble there seconds ago.
Well, they both better get going, because Ernie Irvan has moved in 2 or 3 times and run right up on the back bumper of Earnhardt. That's the fastest car out there.
Glenn, quickly, is Gary DeHart, Terry Labonte's crew chief, concerned at all about where he's running right now?
Well, I think the biggest thing they're concerned about, Jerry reported about 5, 6, 7 laps ago, Eli, he thought he had a skip in the engine. So they're keeping an eye on that. That could be part of the problem that he's got trying to pick the throttle up. Coming off the corners, it's just not hitting on all eight. I'm going to go down and check with Gary to see if it's cleared up. Might have been an ignition problem. I'm on my way there. Quick as I find out, you'll be the first to know.
Appreciate it. Terry Labonte has led all but 3 races this year. He has not led at Bristol, didn't lead at Dover, didn't lead at Darlington. Otherwise, he has led at least 1 lap in every other race thus far. Now that's Randy McDonald in the Diamond Rio sponsored entry, just ahead of the leaders. He was pushing out some water earlier. We had talked about he might be in the early stages of an overheating problem on that car. And let's see how the leaders deal with him. Oh, trouble. John Andretti in turn 3 and 4.
Well, John's into the wall very hard, Eli. As you can see, the damage to left rear quarter panel there.
John Andretti brings out the caution for the 2nd time here this afternoon. The leaders will take it at lap number 28, and obviously you can see it's getting a little hot there underneath that Kmart Little Caesars car. John Andretti will apparently have his 7th DNF of the year. Let's see what happens.
Looks like Rick Mast is right on his back bumper there. They made a little contact getting in the corner, and at that particular part of the racetrack, it don't take very much at all.
No, I was going to comment by how hard we saw him hitting the wall there, that I bet this happened entering the corner, because you got to remember, this is a mile flat track, but at the same time, at the end of the straightaways, these cars are going over 150 miles an hour. That means John just hit the wall close to 150 miles an hour. That's why you see that extensive damage.
And again, that's one category John does not want to lead. He and Derek Copeland, Lake Speed, had led everybody with 6 DNFs, 6 races in which they did not finish. And apparently John is going to take that dubious lead there with what may well be his 7th DNF, because obviously a lot of bent up race car there on the Kmart Little Caesars entry. So caution number 2 of the afternoon here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. And again, a 1-mile track, 1.058. Got to stress, you're doing 155, 158. Some are doing 160 on the straightaway. So this is not a slow racetrack by any stretch. All right, let's cover the pit stops for you. Lap number 29. First stop for all of the lead machines. This comes, I would think, in just a perfect time for some of these fellas.
I think so too. We're about lap number 30, so this will give them a chance to see exactly how their car's handling. I'm sure there'll be a lot of chassis adjustments this time again, because there wasn't any practice yesterday with the rain.
Jeff Bodine doesn't pit, but Randy Pemberton is watching those who are.
They certainly am. The 41 car pitted. It's 4 tires. He's a little tight. Cannot get out of the pits. Got to back it up. Throws it reverse. Everybody goes by on pit road. Tough break for Craven.
Boy, oh boy, tough break there. It's so very tight, even though this is a plenty long and comfortable pit lane. Jeff Gordon will come out in second spot behind the new race leader, Jeff Bodine. So it's the Jeff and Jeff show and a little ice cream here in New Hampshire. From going back to green, as far as the points are concerned, the folks at Texaco bring you this recap. Texaco, makers of Haviland Formula 3 motor oil that controls volatility and vaporization. 5-point advantage right now. Dale Earnhardt will go to the restart here in 5th. Terry Labonte, meanwhile, had a slower pit stop, and he is being shown well back in 29th. Fellas who made some moves, Jeff Gordon came onto the pit lane. He was 9th. He is now 2nd behind Jeff Bodine, who did not pit. Mark Martin was 20th. He's now running 3rd. Jeff Burton was 19th. He is now running 4th. And Morgan Shepherd, he was 23rd, now running in 7th. So for some, it was an outstanding stop. We're back to green.
I think some of those guys probably took on 2 tires to get that good a track position.
Good scramble off the number 2 corner. Again, you've got Jeff Bodine without new tires. Jeff Gordon with fresh Goodyears. Rusty Wallace is on the move as we watch the battle for the lead right there. Oh, and Earnhardt gets shoved out of the groove. The Exide machine. Jeff Burton was right there, and here comes Ernie Irvan. He won't let Dale in. Rusty won't. Oh, a little touch there between Bodine and Gordon. We just saw a puff of smoke as those 2 cars got together.
Well, you could see what happened there. Gordon thought he had the inside line there. He jumped up beside Jeff Bodine there, and he just cut over just a little bit to get a good run off the corner, and they touched. No harm there.
No harm. Just a little touch.
Restarts are an adventure.
You guys, come on. Look at Bobby Hamilton here coming up beside Mark Martin.
Remember, Bobby was the race leader until the pit stops when he came in at lap number 30, or at least 29, with all of the other leaders. Jeff Gordon still waiting. Glenn Jowett, there were some interesting stories on pit road there moments ago.
Well, absolutely. And Chad, you hit it right on the nose. Jeff Gordon did change only right side tires. This is the perfect time to try that to see if it works. You got a lot of time left in the race. It gains you great track position, but the biggest thing is now they know later on in the race just how much it will affect the cars if you only change right side tires. Derek Cope had to pit twice. He had an air gun brake on him, so a little tough luck for him. Track position is everything at this racetrack because it is so tough to pass. So I tell you, those guys are scrambling. That's the reason they won't let Earnhardt back in, or wouldn't let him in, is that track position is critical.
Well, I want to know what Bobby Hamilton done, because he's like a rocket ship right now. He went by Jeff Gordon, and he pulled right up on the back of Jeff Bodine there. This car is on a mission.
Let's take another look at what happened there between Gordon and Jeff Bodine. We're riding with Mark Martin. Up the right front of Gordon and to the left rear of Jeff Bodine. And together they wanted that same piece of real estate.
That's the only horn you have on these cars. He used his just then.
I like that, buddy. The only horn that we have is when you feel a little rub.
That's it.
Just a little rub. Earnhardt grabbing the spot there from Rusty Wallace. That's 7th spot right now. Kenny Schrader's right behind in the Budweiser number 25. 37 laps complete. One team in the garage area, John Andretti. He is apparently done, and now we get the official word from NASCAR as Jeff Gordon got kicked out there in the corner, and he's not in line, and he's not coming up to speed either. Meanwhile, Bobby Hamilton grabs the lead. So Hamilton takes the lead, and now Jeff Gordon back in pretty good running trim, but still hasn't gotten back in line. So Bobby Hamilton is the leader. Gordon backslides in behind Schrader, as you see, all the way back in 9th spot. It happens that quickly as Tim Brewer and the John Andretti crew pack up for the day. That is the race leader here in the Jiffy Lube 300, and that's the man in 2nd spot. How did Jeff Bodine get the lead from Ernie Irvan, or at least from Bobby Hamilton? Take a look.
Well, you see Jeff Bodine making a move on the inside there, down the back straightaway.
Caution on the Speedway. You saw the pass there, and that's Dave Marcus, the Prodigy Chevrolet, in the wall in turn number 1. The leaders will take the caution at lap number 56 as Dave Marcus, in his 801st career NASCAR Winston Cup start, ends up in the wall in turn number 1. You hate to see that. You hate to see it for anybody. You just hate to see it for Dave Marcus in particular.
Works on that car every day himself.
Yep.
You just hate to see it get torn up.
So Jeff Bodine comes in behind the safety car right now. Only the 3rd race that Jeff has led this year in the QVC Ford. His best finish of the season was 3rd at Pocono. Now we'll see what Jeff Bodine does. Remember, he did not pit when everybody else came in on that other caution when John Andretti hit the wall.
I was going to say, I think we'll see all the leaders come back in again.
Here he comes right now.
So the stop is going to be at lap number 56. Well, Ernie stays on the racetrack, as do a number of others. Glenn, here comes Bobby Hamilton to you also.
Yeah, Eli, a while ago when they pitted and put the tires on, they made an adjustment. The car was a little bit tight, so they loosened it up, and it ran great. We saw how he bolted out to the lead, was running away from the field. Well, the track changed just a little bit then, and the car wasn't to Bobby's liking. He was just trying to find a different groove to run in. That's why he pulled it down and let the guys go by him as easily as they did. But they're going to change 4 tires and continue to adjust on it. This is the first chance they've had to really adjust on the cars with no practice. Randy Pemberton.
4 tires for Jeff Bodine. He had to do it. Likewise for the 22 car award. Burton, Hut Strickland has pitted. Ted Musgrave, Johnny Benson. The 98 car is pitted as well. Jeremy Mayfield and Derek Cope all down on this end of pit road.
So Ernie Irvan has taken over the lead here at the Jiffy Lube 300 at the New Hampshire International Speedway, and this will be coming up at a rather opportune time for Ernie Irvan. Of course, throughout the course of a day at the races, there are a number of special awards and incentive programs that are involved, and one of those is on the 57th lap of the event. It is called the Heinz 57 Charity Lap. The folks at Tangy Heinz 57 Steak Sauce give monies to a driver's favorite charity, and it goes today into the favorite charity of Ernie Irvan, the Tangy Heinz 57 Steak Sauce. They tell you, let's eat, and we say we're coming right back. Lead lap here at New Hampshire. 20 cars did not pit. 18 did pit, and of course the other 2 missing, John Andretti and Dave Marcus, in the garage area. Jeff Gordon is on the racetrack right now, and he was one of those who stayed on the speedway. That's his crew chief, Ray Evernham.
Well, he was not supposed to pitch. You weren't expecting him, Ray.
Well, no, we just had a little bit of miscommunication. We were talking about what we were going to do if we would come, and I guess he thought we were coming, and we pitted. So now we got ground to make up. It was okay because we had a couple adjustments we wanted to make, so we went ahead and made them.
One of those was they removed a half spring rubber out of the left rear tire, or out of the left rear suspension. So a little bit of surprise down here. That happens even to the best of teams.
It does, and they're back in 30th position right now as a result of that pit stop. There's Dave Marcus. He's okay. He's still riding along with that car, going to the garage area as the field gets set to get the 1-to-go signal. Don't forget, if you're at home, which you might well be now, or at a home where somebody has a computer and you're enjoying the coverage on TNN, you might want to dial up NASCAR Online. They've got their full staff here at the track. They've got scoring updates for you, all sorts of information about the busy weekend here in New Hampshire. www.nascar.com. That's the address on the computer to access NASCAR Online. And that computer will tell you, as will we, that Jeff Bodine has had himself a good run. Had to pit here moments ago because he needed tires. He's in 26th spot. His crew chief is Paul Andrews.
Paul, did you show everybody something, and did you learn something there by staying out, but now you're deep in the pack?
Yeah, we're deep in the pack, which is the bad thing about it. You know, we need to see how far we can go on these tires and see what's going to happen, you know. See, I think we can come up through the pack good and get ahead, you know, still have a real good race here. We're not really worried about it too much.
Okay, good luck.
Paul Andrews, the crew chief for Jeff Bodine. There's the race leader, Ernie Irvan. Mark Martin being shown in the 2nd spot. He started 22nd. Jeff Burton in the 3rd position. He started back in 24th. Of course, Ernie has had 2 straight 5th place finishes. Remember, at Michigan he was 5th. Last week at Daytona he was 5th. So That Texaco Haviland team, awfully strong.
Seems to be a great track for Fords here. Out of the top 5, you have, well, now it's the top 4 cars are all Ford.
Yeah, because Rusty made that move in the number 2 machine around Dale Earnhardt, and both of those machines a little squirrely off the corner. And there goes Mark Martin now in the challenge for the lead. Remember, Mark Martin in 3 races here has finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So this is not a surprise.
I guess that would mean this would be 1st or 5th, right?
If you are one who would play the numbers, yes. He'll take the lead. Mark Martin will, officially at lap number 60, as he ride with Jeff Burton.
Jeff got a little bit. Oh, you see,
A lot of guys
getting
getting
sideways
squirrely
up
off the corner.
Yeah.
A lot of teams doing that, coming out of number 2.
Well, I noticed in the Busch race on Friday that coming out of turn 2, there's some place where they put down some sealer to help the asphalt live a little bit longer. And if you don't pass over that sealer right perfectly, it breaks the rear end loose under power. So I think that's why you see a lot of cars jump sideways there.
Dave Marcus is done for the day. That word now from NASCAR. So John Andretti and Dave Marcus both finished for the afternoon. There you see the front 4. Rusty Wallace is in 4th. One of the weirdest deals from mid-season. Have you followed Rusty Wallace's year lately?
Yeah, I mean, he's up and down. He either wins or he really has some problems.
It's remarkable as we see Wally Dallenbach working midfield. He's got Joe Nemechek, Derek Cope, and Rick Mast in order behind them. They're running back at 32nd spot. Rusty Wallace was 5th at Bristol. The next week at Wilkesboro, he was 33rd. Next race at Martinsville, he wins. Next race, Talladega, he's 30. Next race, Sears Point, he wins. Next race, Charlotte, he's 34th. Next race, Dover, he's 7th. Next race, he's 31st at Pocono. Then he wins at Michigan. There you see the battle for the lead. You get the idea. Every week, it's either feast or famine for Rusty, as Ernie Irvan takes the lead now away from Mark Martin.
Eli, you could see Mark Martin just pull over and let the 28 car of Ernie Irvan go by then. That is good racing. This early in the race, you don't want to contest somebody getting down in the corner and maybe get in trouble. So that's a gentleman's agreement there between all these guys to get out of the way. Don't say it with 10 to go. Nobody pulls over.
I was going to ask you, didn't you and Glenn have this discussion at Dover a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I feel like I've just come in again and rejoined the conversation. 65 laps on the board. Looking back from Mark Martin to his Roush teammate, Jeff Burton. Glenn, care to join?
Yeah, well, Buddy informed me that he asked Mark Martin about that after Pocono. Mark said, no way I'll let him by. But at this point in the race, early in the race, Mark Martin won't run you too hard because there's no point in taking a chance and making a guy behind you get impatient, maybe tap you and get you out of shape. Mark knows he's got plenty of time, and he's just going to let Ernie go out and do his thing right now.
I love getting those two guys going, Chad. We are 66 laps complete here at New Hampshire of the 300 on a simply magnificent day. Temperatures are in the 80s after yesterday's battle with Hurricane Bertha. She washed out the modifieds in the Busch North race, but we are clean and green here today for Winston Cup NASCAR style. Hampshire pit stops for everybody, although Morgan Shepherd, I'm not quite sure if he has brakes on his race car. He had a little problem getting the Remington Arms machine wound down. The hood was up also again on Sterling Marlin's Kodak Film Chevrolet. So, Randy, why don't we get an update first from you on the pit lane?
Well, there's no question about it. Sterling's car is misfiring. You could hear it on the way in, and desperately, you could hear it when he pulled off of pit road. They didn't change any tires. They're going to go back underneath the hood. They believe they've got a cylinder misfiring. They squirted some water on the header pipes trying to figure out exactly if they had a crack in one of them or not. So Sterling going to come back down pit road. They're going to continue to work on it. The car is also pushing, but they're not worried about that right now.
Here comes Morgan Shepherd down the pit lane, and he does stop cleanly. Here's why we're under caution. While we were away for a few moments, Derek Coates' problems began to really explode upon him.
Notice the water pushing out the back of Derek's car there, right by the left rear wheel. See it right there coming out? That's not a good sign. That usually means that they've cracked a cylinder or a head. I mean, it's generally DNF that.
So Derek Culp, who will now apparently joined John Andretti in the DNF column. There you see again Ron Pittman and the boys from Morgan McClure Racing working on the engine of the Kodak Film Chevrolet as they make another stop at lap 70. Meanwhile, Ernie Irvan has been in. Glenn, what did they do?
Hold on, Eli. I was talking to my spotter now. Ask me again. I'm sorry.
What's the stop on Ernie Irvan? What were they doing?
Yeah, I talked to Larry McReynolds, Eli, and he said that they did make a couple of changes. Just tweaked it just a little. It was just a little bit too tight. He spent a lot of time talking to Ernie after Ernie got back out on the racetrack, but they've adjusted. They're fine-tuning it now. They're really happy with the way the thing is behaving right now. We're going to work our way down to the other end of pit road right now and check with Robbie Loomis again to see why Hamilton was back in the pits and spent so long on pit road. Be back with you in a sec.
All right, so we've got a moment now for the AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,350 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
You often hear NASCAR Winston Cup race teams talking about having a short track car or a long track car. Now we can take the same car that we've run at Loudon on a 1-mile track and take it to Pocono running on a 2.5-mile track. How do we do that? Well, NASCAR has a minimum weight that all the cars have to weigh. Everyone's cars are built lighter than that minimum weight, so you carry a certain amount of lead. Now by moving that lead in the frame rail, we can slide it back, make it a short track car, or slide it forward and make it a big track car. The more weight in the rear, the better the car is on a short track. The more weight in the front, the better the car is on a big track.
So we are 71 laps on the board. Jeff Gordon didn't pit, nor did Robert Presley. Presley is the leader here in New Hampshire. High overhead, New Hampshire International Speedway. The Hood blimp is bringing us those pictures. If you're not familiar with this portion of the country, Hood is a big dairy company up here. Ice cream, cheese, all sorts of that good stuff. The Hood blimp bringing you the overhead pictures today. That's our leader, Robert Presley. His last NASCAR win of any kind came here in New Hampshire in August of '93 in the New England Chevy Dealer 250. That's up on the level where we are. You see one of our camera guys waving there. Those are the spotters who follow the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour and talk to their drivers on the racetrack as Robert Presley gets set to bring him to Carl Simmons' green flag. Green is in the air, and the restart at lap number 75. Now remember, a number of teams did not pit, including Presley, the leader. 16 in second spot, Ted Musgrave. He didn't pit, nor did Ward Burton, nor did Jeff Gordon. Everybody waiting while Musgrave takes a peek for the lead. Derek Cope is done for the day. Engine failure, the word. Third in a row for the Badcock team. 7th DNF of the season. And now Musgrave wants the lead. He's got it. So Ted Musgrave will take over the lead for only the second time this year. He led one lap at North Wilkesboro back in April of '96, and now today he has not led since.
That sounds incredible.
Doesn't
because he runs so well most of the time, and to think that this is just the second time.
There goes Rusty Wallace in the 2, Dale Earnhardt the 3. They've got Randy McDonald in the 78, Bobby Hill in the 77 to deal with. Hud Strickland in the 8, Ernie Irvan the 28, all trying to pick their way through and work back to the front. Again, you see a mixture here because some guys pitted again and some did not. Glenn Jarrett, how significant is a tire change here? That sounds silly, I know, but it looks as though on the clock it's not that big of a deal today for some reason.
No, you're absolutely right, Eli, and it's not silly at all. What's happening is that on this green racetrack, new tires, sticker tires, are a little bit too tight. They work too well, and the guys are kind of rolling the dice and saying, hey, we're going to stay on the tires that have got 25, 30 laps on them because they're just as quick on the clock as the new sticker tires, and so they're going to take track position over getting new rubber. You don't see that very often in Winston Cup racing, but that's definitely the case here today. Bobby Hamilton only had 7 laps on his tires. He came in, he didn't like them at all, said he couldn't turn the car. They put 4 new ones on him. He spent extra time. The car's overheating a little bit. I noticed he's stuck at the back of the pack now.
You're watching Darrell Waltrip work his way to the front right now from 22nd spot as we ride with Jeff Burton. Robert Presley reassuming the lead at lap number 78. If you're a Sterling Marlin fan, they're back in 36th position right now. Randy, how significant is that engine problem?
It's significant. If you're a Sterling Marlin fan, he won't win today. They do have a cylinder problem. They went ahead and pulled the plug on the right side. Third cylinder back. So Sterling will run on 7 the rest of the afternoon. Tough break for the Kodak team.
Look at old Jeff Bodine, that QVC forward. Rusty Wallace in the 2 right behind him, and Dale Earnhardt all inside of Spencer. And Jimmy's had 4 top 10s in a row, so they have been running well. Earnhardt's a good battle. I love watching Spencer and Earnhardt.
Yeah, look at Earnhardt trying to get under the left rear corner there. He stuck his nose up there, backed out very smartly, because he knows that one thing, Spencer is not going to back off and let you go by. You have to earn that spot.
That 16th position you're watching. Bobby Hillen, he is on the lead lap in 17th. Ernie Irvan in the 28 is 18th. All of that for position. As a matter of fact, everybody is on the lead lap, except the 3 guys who are done for the day: John Andretti, Dave Marcus, and Derek Cope. Earnhardt's got him. That'll be 16th now for Dale Earnhardt.
You can see Spencer's car kind of washing out going off the corner there. He's a little bit loose, and that's Ernie Irvan coming up right behind him there in the 28.
Dale Earnhardt took the point lead from Dale Jarrett after the race at Martinsville. But remember, these last few weeks, folks, Earnhardt had a 136-point lead when we signed off the air at Dover, Delaware in June, just 4 races ago. And now it's just a handful. How quickly your fortunes can change.
Yeah, but you have to remember one other thing. He's been there 7 times. He's been the guy that was sitting at the head of that table at the end of 7 seasons that he won championship. He's not going to roll over and play dead. You can bet on that.
Chad, not to point at you, I know, but you can appreciate probably better than anyone this year how fortunes can change. And you know, you think about it too with Dale Jarrett. Remember when he was in the interstate team? One year had a great high finish in the points, and the very next year, all the accidents he missed the year before, he was in the middle of the next year. And you had such a magnificent year in '94, and the points are tougher to come by here in this season. 95, I should say, and tougher to come by here this season. The racing gods sometimes just don't smile.
Exactly right. And I've heard Richard Petty say call it circumstances. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to believe in yourself and your team. And I feel that the John Deere team is strong, and we're going to come back. That's the important part, is we will come back. You just got to persevere through some rough times.
That's 15th spot right there.
2 brothers fighting it out right there, Rusty Wallace and Herman.
Right.
I've always said, and I think Buddy will agree as a driver, I'd rather run good and get in an accident than run bad and finish all day long.
Much more. I'd rather blow up leading the race than run 15th.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Yeah, and
Makes sense.
yeah, I mean, just you don't want to get in an accident, but you'd rather run good, be competitive, and then you can tolerate things happening. But when you're not running good and something happens, boy, that's when you're fit to be tied.
Give Ernie Irvan 14th. Rusty's got 15th in the 2. Here comes Earnhardt. He couldn't get by. Ernie's pretty strong, Ernie Irvan is. As far as some of the other guys we've been talking about today, there are Terry Labonte and Bobby Hamilton. That is 31st and 32nd position. Remember, Terry was in 23rd. He has never really progressed. What's the story on the Kellogg's team?
Well, the car is running okay, but I got a heartbreak for you, Eli. They have pulled the wrong gear. So therefore, all that practice that they did not get here on Saturday, they had no opportunity to go out and figure out what gear to put in the car. The car simply will not come up out of the hole off of the corner, and these guys are dejected.
Boy, Terry Labonte, the only driver to finish on the lead lap in each of the last 7 races, and he's still on the lead lap right now, but well, that is a heartbreaker of a story. And again, all the practice washed out yesterday. Here on Friday with the Busch race and the Busch North race, there was 2¼ hours of practice before qualifying, so it's been that kind of a weekend. We're coming back with more from New Hampshire. 87 laps are complete. Hopefully a good idea, a little lemonade. We are back, 92 of 300 laps complete. There are Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip, and that scramble now back in 20th and 21st position. And Earnhardt each time, particularly off turn number 2, Chad Little, has been I don't know whether he's driving too hard or washing out, what have you. He's losing 4 and 5 spots each time off the corner.
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure, but this is definitely the type of racetrack where if you drive in the corner too hard, or harder than, you know, you're trying to make up ground, remember, that your car gets out from underneath you a little bit, drifts up, you can't get on the gas where you need to. And what that does is it makes it look like you're running on about 6 cylinders down the straightaway. It's just because it's so important to get back in the gas early. You lose a lot of momentum in the turns.
Ernie Irvan has 10th spot there, just getting around Ricky Rudd in 11th, and Mark Martin trying to make the move as well. Still, the fellas who did not make pit stops still basically hanging in there. We have now Johnny Benson with a strong 5th place run right now. You've got Robert Presley, you've got Ted Musgrave, Jeff Gordon, you've got Ward Burton, Johnny Benson, Jeremy Mayfield. All of those teams that elected not to make pit stops, buddy, and they're still hanging in.
Well, I'm watching Wally Dallenbach. He's running very well at the moment. He started dead last, so track position is everything right now, I think.
For our new racing fans, Chad, Randy brought up the problem with the gearing that the Terry Labonte team has. Why do you change from Friday to Saturday to Sunday for the fans who are not the regular viewers of the sport?
Well, when we're practicing and getting ready for qualifying, the car's all taped up. It's very aerodynamic. You have sticker tires, so you generally can pull a little bit taller gear. When you're getting ready for the race, you untape the car, let the motor cool a little bit more. You're running for what would be a long green flag run on tires, so you generally have to drop down a couple gears or a little bit lower gear to pull the motor up back into the peak power range. That's normally what we end up doing come race days. You actually pull a little bit lower gear.
Well, along with that, you also have a clean racetrack out there when you're qualifying. Out here, you have a lot of traffic you have to brake for and accelerate fast down the straightaway. So the gear change is very important.
And especially like, you know, this is a big Martinsville like we talked about earlier. And what's important here is acceleration off the corner, drag race down the straightaway, and a lot of brakes. So you do need that car, that gearing perfect in order to have a good run.
8th, 9th, and 10th you're watching right there. From Joe Nemechek back to Rick Mast to Ernie Irvan. Dallenbach just ahead of them in the Hayes Modems machine. Wally's right there in that battle, running in 7th spot.
You know, other than Ernie Irvan, Eli, all of those cars in the top 9 didn't pit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look at Ernie Irvan, though. He is really, really quick right through the center part of the corner. See him coming up on Rick Mast now. He's looking outside, inside. This car is really running well right now.
And that's pretty even split right there if you're a Pontiac, Ford, or Chevrolet fan. Pretty darn even, and that's obviously how this day has gone right now. Ricky Craven has led in his Chevrolet, Bobby Hamilton in his Pontiac, Jeff Bodine in the Ford, among others, obviously. So it's a pretty good split here in the first 98 laps of this event. I'm just watching Ricky Rudd. He's that orange number 10 there at that back of that line of traffic. Why do I just expect that come 4 o'clock or so, the Tide machine is going to be in the hunt? It's a flat track. The greasier and the slipperier it gets, that's when Ricky really excels. His last 2 wins have been Phoenix, flat, and here, New Hampshire. I just got to think by the time the clock hits 4 o'clock, Ricky's going to be in that picture.
He is so good on a slick track. I know you've heard me say that time after time. I call him balloon foot. It gets on the throttle. It gets on the throttle so easy that he never breaks the tires loose. He keeps his tires under him pretty well. And Ricky Rudd is a tremendous talent on a slick track.
This is the same car also that he ran well with at Rockingham when they finished in 4th spot. This is one of the cars they bought from Kenny Bernstein's operation. I don't know. You just kind of think when you think this track and you think Phoenix, you think Ricky Rudd sometimes. Wally Dallenbach can't get low. 3 machines get by. Here comes Ricky Rudd. There goes Rusty Wallace in the 2. Mark Martin says, "Pardon me."
That was his horn again.
Yeah. So Wally Dallenbach, just that little bit of a slip, and he'll go from 9th back to 13th or 14th. There you see Jeff Burton, the 99 Exide machine, got around Jimmy Spencer. And what about Dale Earnhardt? He's running back in 20th, Glenn Jarrett. What do they say?
I'm sorry, Eli. Again, they had a little bit of problems listening to my spotter television thing. I'm really not asleep down here, guys. Earnhardt's got a little bit of a tight condition on the car, and a while ago he lost several spots. He got in the corner a little bit too hard to push up in that loose stuff, and when you get in the marbles, Chad can attest to it. You just got no control over the car, And so he's just sitting there riding right now, biding his time until they get another caution and they can adjust the car. He doesn't like it, but there's not a whole lot he can do about it. And what's that I heard you guys saying about lemonade a while ago?
Yeah, they had a picture of the lemonade stand out in front of the main grandstand. And we decided to try and con ourselves out of one. There's There's Robert Presley. He is the race leader, Randy. Let's get an update from his pit.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. These guys just started flying off the pit box, got ready to change tires. They thought Robert Presley had a tire going down. He said, oh, sorry, guys, just got the loose stuff. I'm all right. So that's how tricky it can be for these drivers. He swore he had a tire going down, but he does not.
And although that, that sounds like, well, what are you talking about? How can you make that kind of mistake? I'm telling you, as a driver, that is an easy mistake to make. I've come in the pits before thinking I have a flat, and it's nothing but debris on the tires. Remember how hot these tires are while they're racing. You get out of the groove, you pick up what is debris out there, which is just little pieces of rubber and so on from the track, and they stick right to your tires. So that's what he felt. If he didn't have a flat, he just got out of the groove a little bit.
I was going to make a comment. It's like the candy apple in nuts. When you roll them around, it just picks it all up and carries it with it. That's what the tire does.
It's a good analogy.
That was a great analogy.
Yes. Next time I have one at the Alabama State Fair, I will now think of you.
Thank you, Eli.
Anytime. We're watching Joe Nemechek there in the 87. That's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th on back. Ernie Irvan in the 28. As we ride with Jeremy Mayfield, Cale Yarborough's RCA racing team with a strong run. Up front, Robert Presley still showing the way. Ted Musgrave and Jeff Gordon running behind them as they are threatening to put a lap on Sterling Marlin. We're coming right back to New Hampshire. Robert Presley still leads. Jeff Gordon has now gotten around Ted Musgrave for second. The leaders have all lapped around the Sterling Marlin machine. And there you see some damage on the left side of the STP Pontiac. Little accident, so no caution out there in turn number 2. Watch what happens. The synchronized spinning competition. Jeff Gordon does the perfect 360. The Russian judge gives him a 7-2, and he continues away.
Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine, excuse me. Didn't mean to say Jeff Gordon. Jeff Bodine does that spin right there. And, of course, Bobby Hamilton was right behind Bodine as he spun. We'll take another look and show you exactly what happened again. A real-time view of what transpired.
Look how small of a bump or a little bit of a horn that it takes to spin somebody out.
Jeff Burton right behind Jeff Bodine. That's all she took, but we are remaining under green.
Eli, you can see there is no visibility when one crosses up in front of you. That's the danger of the car spinning in front of you. You can't tell where he's at.
I can attest to that yesterday, too, right coming out of turn number 2. I couldn't see a thing, and boom.
Here's Jeff Gordon now setting his sights on Robert Presley. Jeff Gordon has not led today. Dale Earnhardt has not led today. Terry Labonte has not led today. So all of those who are right at the very top in the battle for the points, all still looking for their first bonus points of the day. Earnhardt with a 5-point lead over Terry Labonte, a 37-point lead over Jeff Gordon. Dale Jarrett, who is 4th in points, is 237 behind Earnhardt. Dale Jarrett has not led today. We're at lap 112 as Greg Sachs is off the pace in the Cartoon Network entry for Gary Bechtel. Back to the lead. That's the separation. Presley on the left. Robert running and leading for the 5th time this year. He has led at Daytona for the 500, led 4 laps there, led a lap in Richmond, led 12 laps in Darlington, and 43 laps in North Wilkesboro.
Not unusual to see this car out front, though. That's a number and car made famous by Harry Gann. You see him wiggling just a little bit. He's not out there on a Sunday afternoon ride. He's having to drive pretty hard right now.
That team tested in Indianapolis the other day, but interestingly did not take the car to the brickyard they planned to use there. They took one of their other super speedway cars, tested with it, And then what Andy Petrie, the crew chief, learned at the test, he will build in to another car that they plan to use at Indianapolis. That was the same theory he used with Dale Earnhardt when Dale won the Brickyard, when Andy Petrie was crew chiefing for the number 3.
You see the number 2 there, Rusty Wallace, looking underneath of the 1 car as they start off the corner. He's working very hard right now. Rusty Wallace is probably going to end up being one of the cars that we're going to have to talk about a lot near the end here. That car is working very well around the bottom part of the racetrack.
6th place there, changing hands as Rusty picks that up. Right behind, here come Jeremy Mayfield and Mark Martin. Lap number 115, pit stops for Greg Sachs. He has come onto the pit lane and now returns. And of course, across the top of the screen, our friends at Napa bringing you the field update. Napa, we keep America running, and they keep that rundown running for you all afternoon long here on TNN Motorsports.
You can see Jeremy Mayfield waiting until Mark Martin cleared him. Turn right back into the preferred groove right around the bottom part of the racetrack. Look how far Mark Martin has pulled away in one straightaway.
We have had 4 cautions if you're just tuning in as you watch the battle for the lead. Robert Presley and Jeff Gordon. The first caution was on lap 3 when Dale Jarrett and Joe Nemechek spun. Lap 28, John Andretti ends up in the wall. Dave Marcus in the wall, lap 56, and Derek Pope losing an engine at lap number 68. So 4 cautions with only Andretti, Marcus, and Pope in the garage area. Everybody else is out there running, and most everybody is on the lead lap. From 2nd to 3rd spot now, behind Jeff Gordon, back to 3rd place. You've got 1 6/10 seconds. From 3rd to 4th, it is 7 seconds of a spread. Randy, we see you down there in the Skoll pit. What's their strategy right now?
It all looks good right now for them, Eli, but the last time they pitted was on lap 55 as Jeff Gordon goes underneath to take the lead. The 33 car has got a little bit of a tire problem. They're going to have to pit by lap 134 for gas and tires. Now, how many tires will they take on pit road? I believe they're only going to try and take 2, because if they have to do it, they're going to have to do it under green. Tough break for these guys. Still running well as Gordon goes to the front.
So Jeff Gordon at lap 119 takes the lead. It is the 9th straight race he has led, and he has led all but 3 races. Not at Daytona, Rockingham, or Wilkesboro, but he's led everywhere else. Welcome back, everybody, as Jeff Gordon shows the way here at the New Hampshire International Speedway with Robert Presley and Ted Musgrave right behind in 2nd and 3rd. Over the last few moments, Jimmy Spencer and Dick Trickle finding themselves a lap down to the race leader. And at the same time, Bill Elliott, Bobby Hamilton, Brett Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, all in peril of going a lap down before too much longer. There you see 17th and 18th spot now. Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte working themselves just ahead of Jeff Burton. If you're curious about Bobby Hamilton and why it is the STP Pontiac is in peril of being lapped, we showed you that damage before on the left of his car. When Jeff Bodine spun in turn number 2, Morgan Shepherd was there, and they made the contact, and there is a tire rub for Bobby Hamilton, so that's why he is fallen just a tad off the pace. Randy McDonald on the pit lane for a stop. Lap 125. He and Sterling Marlin are a lap down, along with those who are going laps down now. Laps on the board as we ride with Jeff Burton.
Eli, you can see the headrest there on the side of that seat. They're really using that. Watch him when he goes in the corner here. You see the little bit of the X-side battery. Watch that headrest there where his head's pushing on the side of that seat.
Meanwhile, Ernie Irvin, Johnny Benson, 28 and 30. Dealing there with the Jimmy Spencer machine. I'll tell you, a lot of these cars now beginning to skate just a bit in the corner. There goes Ernie Irvin. He'll take 4th away from Johnny Benson of the Pennzoil Pontiac.
Eli, what's happening right now is you're getting a lot of rubber buildup outside the groove there. Once you get out of the black part of this racetrack into the gray.
Caution is on the speedway now. Caution coming out on the speedway. and they are going to check the corners. We showed you the cars skating in the turns, and there was some concern, so NASCAR is putting out the caution right now, and they are going to go out there and take a close look and possibly blow off some of those little pebbles on the racetrack that has obviously been causing some problem here. We had just commented that even some of the very fine runners today were beginning to skate around just a bit. So we are under caution for the 5th time today.
I really commend the Winston Cup directors for throwing a caution when it looks like the track is, you know, starting to give some problems like that, because it not only hurts the competitors, but it doesn't make for a fair race.
And we should establish, and you ran here the other day, we should establish that it's not really the asphalt coming up per se. There's a bit of an area there with sealer on it, and I guess part of that has been rolling up, if that's the right term, or something.
I think so. I don't think it's the problem with the asphalt here. It's just a matter of the sealer they put down to help preserve the asphalt. They have a lot of hard winters up here, and that sealer's starting to come up.
You got to remember, too, you have 40 cars out there that are rubbing off a lot of rubber on the tires, and it has nowhere to go. It's not a self-cleaning track. It's flat.
Pit stop time. Randy Pemberton's watching Presley's bunch.
Well, Robert called for 2 ice bags. They're a little hot in the car. Got a drink of water. Nice throw by the guy with the ice bags from behind pit wall. 4 tire stop. No adjustments other than air pressure. 4 tires. Working on the left side. He's getting ready to go. French area. Presley's away.
Well, they changed the right side tires on Jeff Gordon. They put some used left sides back on it. They're also making the rear track bar adjustment. And Terry Labonte beats everybody out, so I suspect he only changed 2 tires. Gordon changed 4.
So some lightning quick pit work now as we work under caution here at lap number 129. There you see the track cleaning going on out there in the corners, as those little pebbles up against the wall are the concern right now. To go back to green, and there's a familiar sight. Terry Labonte and Jeff Gordon in the top 2. You realize that since 1994, Labonte and Gordon have been either first or second 36 times. Wow. Pretty strong for Hendrick Motorsports. Here we go, green flag in the air from Carl Simmons, who subs today for Doyle Ford. And here comes the challenge of Spencer, trying to get a lap back in the 23. He does it. Jimmy Spencer back on the tail end of the lead lap.
Boy, Jeff Gordon got hung out there. He got a little bit sideways. Didn't get a good run down the back straightaway.
And there's Bobby Labonte. Obviously, his transmission problems acting up again. Presley gets around Gordon. Here comes Rusty. That's second, third, and fourth being battled for. We're at lap 136 of 300. Can't quite get back to the low side of the racetrack. Jeff Burton is in the 99.
There goes Terry back by Jimmy Spencer down the back straightaway. Jimmy kind of cut him off down the front straightaway there, and I think Labonte said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put him back in the lap, because this guy is too good a driver to put back in the same lap.
And again, Jimmy Spencer has 4 top 10 finishes in a row. And in that span, he has gone from 23rd to 16th in points. Again, Burt, Martin, Gordon.
Gordon cannot get off the corners right now. He's been on the inside and not get off the corners very well. Something's wrong as far as the handling on that car right at the moment.
Good 3 wide.
Oh, that'll never work.
That's not going to work. Sachs and Darrell Waltrip, was it? No, Nemechek. They got together, and Sachs finally gives.
Well, Kyle Petty did a wonderful job of saving that car. It looked like he was running through dirt there. He had it so sideways.
Well, that was one of those accidents that just didn't happen.
No, that was great driving on Kyle Petty's part, because he was in the loose stuff. He just stayed in the throttle just enough to keep the back wheel pulling and kind of balanced the car as it was sliding through the corner and got it back straight.
You know, he was saying to himself before they went into that corner, you know, I really shouldn't go into this corner 3 wide. I know he was saying that.
Meanwhile, Terry Labonte has built up a 1 7/10 second advantage over Robert Presley. And why is Robert so far back? Let's take a look and see if we can pick him up. Almost looked like he hit the wall before.
No, that's more than just looked like. He hit it pretty hard.
I just looked down and saw a little smoke come up. I wasn't quite sure. But he did hit the wall. Pretty good wallop.
You know, again, we're talking about the nature of this racetrack. You get into the throttle pretty early in the middle of the corner, and you're actually in full throttle about the middle of the corner or just beyond it, especially with good tires. Remember, these guys have just put on good tires, so he doesn't want to back out. He loses all of his momentum, and he's just saying to himself, please stick, please stick. Obviously, right there, it started pushing a little bit, and boom, he scrapes the wall.
But right now, he's thinking, how bad is that right rear quarter panel bend in towards that tire?
And if there's no smoke, and the spotter's looking real close right now, then I don't think he'll come in.
You're watching the 99. Jeff Burton, he's in 4th. Mark Martin behind him in 5th. Johnny Benson 6th. Jeff Gordon in 7th. All battling for position at lap 142. Just 8 laps shy of halfway here in New Hampshire. There are folks everywhere here today. Grandstands, of course, packed. Even the hill on the back straightaway, folks are sprawled out all over. You see those folks there? They're just on the hillside overlooking the back straightaway. Great view. Dale Earnhardt, the number 3, he's in 11th spot. Battling with Rick Mast and Ernie Irvan. Jeremy Mayfield behind them.
Now, Ernie has this spot going down into turn 1. Just watch it. Nobody wants to be on that outside right now, not going into turn 1.
Yeah, you really got to protect the inside. We've seen that over and over today.
Ernie Irvan with Earnhardt right behind him now. Dale Earnhardt, the only driver with 11 top 5s in the first 15 races of the year. That's why he's leading the points.
See Michael Waltrip there in 21. We hadn't mentioned him today. He's still out there giving it all he's got. Some of these guys have been caught up in bad track position by having a bad starting position. But you can see he's trying very hard right now to get by Musgraves as they go down the back straightaway.
And remember last year, the Wood brothers, of course, they had Morgan Shepherd driving the 21 last year as Michael challenges Ted Musgrave for position. But last year, the Wood brothers finished second here with Morgan Shepherd at the wheel. And again, Mark Martin, Gordon, Burton, and Benson. That's for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position.
Eli, Johnny Benson's been right in the thick of things. We thought it was just track position a while ago when he didn't stop, but now after several stops, he's still right up in the front here.
When we talk about where these cars started, we said Johnny Benson had didn't get to start all that well. He started 38th, but remember, between the pole and 38th position, you're only talking about 0.6 of a second. So really, once things equal out, these cars are so competitive. All of them are. That's how professional and how good all these teams are at this level.
Little sideways racing moments ago. Everybody gathering their cars back in. Jeremy Mayfield there in the 98. About lost it moments ago, but he, as you see, is pointing in the right direction. Old Jeff Burton, or rather Jeff Bodine, starting to lurk now. Here goes Ricky Rudd.
See Dale Jarrett jumping in there, going in on the bottom side.
That'll be 10th spot changing hands. 3 laps shy of halfway. 3 laps from the halfway point here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Benson and Ernie Irvan, 7th and 8th places respectively.
You know, I was talking just a little bit ago about the 24 not getting a good bite and all. After he ran about 7 or 8 laps, Jeff Gordon began to come on again. So maybe he just got caught on the outside, got a little build up on the tires that you were talking about, Chad, but now he's back up to good speed.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be having any problems right now. He seems like he's really holding his line and he's running real strong.
Boy, Ernie Irvan, you talk about holding the line. He went by Johnny Benson right on the flat part of the racetrack. He actually put the left side under the white line through turn 3 and 4.
Meanwhile, up front, coming to the halfway point, the Gatorade Front Runner Award is on the line. The next time by, it'll be $10,000 for Terry Labonte as he leads at halfway. Now 3 4/10 seconds for that car. That's the wrong car with the wrong gear and the wrong shocks, and they shouldn't even be here, and they're leading by 3 4/10 seconds. Terry Labonte is.
Boy, what a difference 10 laps around a racetrack can mean. Right now, he's getting the job done. The car seems to be coming off straight off the corner. Looks very good.
All these other people are saying, boy, I'm sure glad that he has the wrong gear and the wrong motor and the wrong shocks.
Let's take a look at the split fire mid-race recap for you. Split fire Performance B spark plugs. And there you see 10 liters, 13 lead changes. Average speed there of 97.832. That is still about 10 miles an hour off the record pace that Jeff Gordon set here 1 year ago. Retirees, John Andretti and Dave Marcus out with accidents, and the engine failure for Derek Hope, the reason he is in the garage area. And now we'll take a look at the lap leaders. Ricky Craven from the Busch pole. There you see how it is swapped around behind him. Jeff Gordon finally picked up his points for leading at lap 119. Darrell Waltrip and now Terry Labonte showing the way. There you see a great scramble now. 5th, 6th, 7th position. Ernie Irvan and Jeff Burton at 6th and 7th. Don't forget, see the full rundown across the top of the screen so you'll know where your favorite driver is running. Yeah, poor old Terry Labonte. If you weren't with us earlier, folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, Gary Dehart, his crew chief, has complained about everything today, from the wrong car to the wrong shocks to the wrong springs to the everything except the great paint job from Kellogg's. And now they're only leading by nearly 4 seconds.
There's one factor he didn't add in there. That's Terry Labonte, the ability to adjust to a racetrack. And this car is running right now. I don't care what gear it's got in it. It's flying around this racetrack.
Number 10, Ricky Rudd. Number 88, Dale Jarrett. They're in 10th and 11th spot right now. And you've got the lapped machine for Dick Trickle, the Heilig Myers Ford, followed by Jeremy Mayfield. Ricky Rudd, we talked earlier, likes this racetrack. His first win here as a car owner was in 1994. Remember, he took over ownership of the Rudd Performance Motorsports. His first win as a car owner was here in 94. 7 laps past the halfway point in the Jiffy Lube 300. Back to Jeff Gordon and Ernie Irvan. That's 5th and 6th you're looking at. Jeff Burton behind them in 7th.
I know one thing. If Ernie Irvan ever does get track position back up near the front, that guy is flying around this racetrack. He can turn left and pass about any car on the track. And right now, we're laughing about Terry Labonte flying, but he's out there by himself right now. He's not in lap over traffic. Darrell Waltrip's in the wall.
Caution in turns 3 and 4. Darrell Waltrip, and there goes that 4-second lead for Terry Labonte. And old DW in the wall. Caution will come out at lap number 159 for the race leader, Terry Labonte. So Darrell Waltrip brings out the caution as it spins, and he pretty well shortens that Monte Carlo. We'll take a look again here, and guys, let's see if we can pick up exactly what went amiss.
See Darrell underneath there. Looks like he and Ricky Craven might have touched just a little bit, just enough to send DW sideways. Watch this car go across the racetrack. Watch this. You talk about it. Hitting hard.
Yeah, it looked like they did touch getting in there, buddy. And Darrell probably was turning left to avoid the bump and also hitting the brakes. And then he got down on the apron, and which is off camber a little bit. And the rear end just came around on him and hit the wall going in there. And you can see that he's going to need some parts from Parts America.
Yeah, Darrell tested that car at Indy this past week. Same machine. Said things went pretty well up at the Brickyard for him. But this afternoon, Jeff Hammond will be looking at some work to get that machine back onto the racetrack. Here come the leaders now. Pit stops at lap number 159. Make it 160 now as the leader crosses the line. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Believe this, right side tires only again for the 5 team. They must be getting extremely good tire wear. Labonte down and away. Glenn.
Well, up here, Ernie Irvan has come in there for right sides only. Rusty Wallace right behind him is going to change 4. Ricky Rudd down and away. He only changed 2. Ernie is blocked in the pits by Joe Nemechek. He can't get out. He's lost 1, 2. Oh, he lost about 4 spots. Rusty Wallace down in the way. So there's a tire out on pit road. Tough break for Ernie Irvin. It cost him some track position.
Man, things are tight in a hurry there on the pit lane. Darrell Waltrip goes to the garage area as we continue under the caution. Stick around. We're coming right back with more from New Hampshire. Are 1 lap away from going back to green. TNN Motorsports happy to present the 2nd annual NASCAR Family Cruise, December 9th through 13th. Got the sound effects there, Buddy Baker? 5 days, 4 nights on the big red boat to the Bahamas. I'll be along. Kyle Petty, Morgan Shepherd, Ted Musgrave, David Lee Murphy's going to be there. All sorts of great times. So you might want to check it out. Kyle Petty's on the list. Brett Bodine, Lake Speed, Hud Strickland, Joe Nemechek. The list goes on and on. The cruise benefiting the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. The proceeds going to the trust fund, which helps the family of drivers who are injured. A few cabins still available. 1-800-227-8605. That is the number to call for more information. Going back to green, Ricky Craven's been on the pit lane 3 times in the last handful of laps, making a few adjustments. Craven, however, remaining on the lead lap, the last team on the lead lap in 30th spot. Wally Dallenbach made a quick pit stop moments ago.
Eli, how would you like to be Earnhardt on old tires? And Jimmy Spencer's got 4 new ones trying to get a lap back going down the front straightaway here.
Let's see what happens. And Dale Earnhardt didn't pit, nor did Johnny Benson. Spencer's got the lead lap back. Bobby Hillen, the 77, he did not pit either. Here goes Benson. Whoa. Hang on.
Remember, until we get a little heat in these tires, too, you're also looking at, that's partly why they jump sideways in the first couple laps. Not only are we dealing with the track giving us some problems, but there's no heat in the tires.
Again, Johnny Benson has never led a NASCAR Winston Cup race. He had the pole at Atlanta, then had the accident in final practice going to a backup car, and he starts at the back. Here he is leading for the first time in his NASCAR Winston Cup career. Johnny Benson in the Pennzoil Pontiac shows the way here at New Hampshire. And that's right, look, he started all the way back in 38th. Dale Earnhardt leads for 10 laps, picks up the bonus points for leading. Johnny Benson takes the lead in 173. Earnhardt second, Hill in third. Terry Labonte is in fourth. Jeff Gordon in fifth. There you see the rundown across the top of the screen. The Napa field standings. Brought to you by Napa. We keep America running. 30 teams still on the lead lap.
Boy, this is so much fun to see Johnny Benson out front. So many people are talking about, you know, the transition from Busch to Winston Cup. It's going to take 2 or 3 years. You can see right now, when everything's right, Johnny Benson has the courage and the ability to lead Winston Cup races.
And Chad Little, you've made that change. You've run a number of Winston Cup races for Sterling Cowboy and so on. What's been the biggest adjustment for you when you hop into a Winston Cup car?
Probably it's the amount of horsepower that they have, and that they're 100 pounds heavier. So you're carrying so much more speed down at the end of the straightaway, and they don't quite turn as good because they're 100 pounds heavier. You just have to get used to that.
175 up on the board right now. Bobby Hillen having a super run in the Jasper Engines Federal Mogul entry. Former winner at Talladega, Alabama. But he's being challenged now by Terry Labonte for third spot.
See Trickle looking underneath there. I believe that Bobby Hillen's going to lose. Well, I don't know. He drove on down in the corner there. Now you see Labonte making the move. They touched just a little bit there.
Bobby Hillen has had a 13th place finish this year. That's been his best of the year. Finally yielding there to Terry Labonte. Now the 90 Trickle, he is not on the lead lap. 24 Jeff Gordon, though, certainly is. As is 33 Presley, 10 Ricky Rudd, and so on.
Frustrating race right now for some of these guys that are 1 lap down, because this is the kind of place like we've alluded to all day, you can't run on the high side. So like Dick Trickle right there in the Heilig Myers Ford, he'd like to get on the high side and let these guys go that are on the lead lap. He doesn't want to hold them up, but he knows if he gets on the high side, that he's going to go from the position he's in right now to clear to the back of the field.
Yeah, it'll be Tuesday till he gets back in line. I mean, and that's a fact.
He could be my age before he got back in line, Eli.
That's the battle for 6th spot. Ooh, close call again.
It's not over yet.
That's Jeff Bodine getting by. Lap 178. Battle for the lead is a good one, but all the way back now we're seeing good scrambles for position. Riding with Mark Martin. You're in the 11th place car right now. And there's the battle for the lead.
Well, there's a tug of war going on back in this crowd right now. I see 5 or 6 cars really bundled up there. Ted Musgrave's got off the throttle and several cars bundled up. Everybody's back underway, though, down the front straightaway here, as you can see.
Rick Mast in the 1. Lake Speed in the 9.
Talk about a bottleneck. Look, check out what happened here coming out of turn 4. Ted Musgrave did a great job of saving that car.
Everybody behind him did a good job of collecting their cars and not just getting back in the throttle and causing a huge chain reaction, too.
You know, and again, you know, we need to point out why that's going on, and that is these guys are so protective of that inside groove. Nobody wants to get out there on the outside right now because the inside's working so well as compared to the outside. So they're fighting to get down low again.
Eli, let's talk about this 5 car not having the right gear. You can see right now he's going right back into the lead again. I think what's happened right now is the racetrack has come to the 5 car, and Terry Labonte's doing a great job. And as you can see, he's already up to 2nd right now. And watch him when he comes off the corner here. He does not give up anything to anybody.
Terry Labonte, if you're just joining us, led 30 laps from 131 to 161, and we keep alluding to not having the right this and the right that. That was the lament we heard right from the crew chief, Gary Pehart, earlier today. He said we've made a bad selection on gear. We probably shouldn't even bought this car here, and so on. And that's what we keep referring back to.
You know, let's say that he did choose a taller gear, which he may have at the start of the race. When the tires were new and the track was cold this morning when we started, it may have looked like he had the wrong gear. Now that the track's getting warm and it's kind of beat up, that the tires have beat the pavement up today, that might be the right gear to pick because Terry's able to get in the throttle harder and sooner than the other guys because he doesn't have all that torque by having a lower gear in his car.
He's giving Johnny Benson a wake-up call there. He gave him a little nudge there just to let him know, yes, I'm trying to get by you, but look at Benson fight back.
Johnny Benson, leading for the first time this year, has led for the last 10 laps.
Johnny looks strong coming out of the corners.
I'd love to see the Bahari team get to victory lane. It's been a long run for Chuck Ryder and everybody there.
Look at the 24 car there. Jeff Gordon move in and make it. The first 4 cars are nose to tail right now. And both the Hendricks cars just a second ago only took on 2 tires. So right now, how many tires you take on don't seem to be the thing.
Terry Labonte thought he might have seen an inside move there. But just stays right behind Johnny Benson. Single file all the way back. I mean, exactly. Everybody on the racetrack now is nose to tail. There is nobody going 2 by 2 at the moment. Terry Labonte second, Dale Earnhardt third.
Awful close there. All you'd have to do is check up a little bit and you get a boot with you.
Labonte's handling so well, though, too. You know, we can't overlook that. He's really able to get even lower than Benson, who's awfully low on the racetrack, too.
Benson's right down on the yellow line coming through the corner there, but the one thing you notice is Terry looked even on the flat part of the track to the left side. Here comes Gordon in the third.
You know, on television, it looks like you can go below that yellow line that our viewers can see on the inside there to the left of the cars. but that is actually off camber. It actually comes up a little bit to the left or uphill. So you dip your left side tires below that yellow line, and what it does is it de-wedges the car. It gets very loose. That's why you don't see anybody making a pass there. They might dip their tires in a little bit as they drive into the corner or come out, but it's not an easy place to run for a long time.
Eli, I don't like to say this, but this is not going to last. I see Terry Labonte trying every corner to get by, and they're going to jam up here pretty quick, I believe.
Yeah, they're already starting to scramble back in 14th spot. That's what you're seeing now. And Mark Martin has everybody swing by. Jeremy Mayfield. Boom. Bang into the wall. Morgan Shepherd, he's there too. They are 19th and 20th spot. I guess you can say that on cable. If not, you can. If not, you can now.
I think what he said is that he hit the wall hard there, and it shook him up a little bit.
Good cover.
Pretty sure that's what I heard.
188 laps on the board. Caution. Jeremy Mayfield, who had problems in qualifying, had to go to his car, and Morgan Shepherd together in turns number 1 and 2. Oh, Mark Martin. I don't know if Mark saw that coming or what, because notice he had everybody go by him. Here, let's take a look again. That's Mark on the inside.
Mark was slowing down. He had a problem because he let about the last 4 or 5 cars get him out. Jerry Mayfield just kind of... Mark, it looks like, might have a flat tire is the way he's pushing straight up there, but Jeremy cut right in front of him, and it looked just barely caught his left rear, spun him around.
Yeah, because Mark obviously had something go amiss because he let 4 or 5 guys get by, and like you say, then he shot back to the outside.
Well, Buddy spoke too soon. He said that we couldn't keep this up. It was just too tight.
You can't run nose to tail that long and not have problems. You could see it coming. They just didn't know who was going to do it first.
And watch, Mark gets the end of Morgan Shepherd also to boot. Let's go down to pit stops, lap 189. Randy?
2 tires only for Johnny Benson. Down and away, near collision on pit road. Wow, that was tight. Mark Martin complaining of a toe-in problem up to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, I'm in Dale Earnhardt's pit, Randy, and he will take on 4 tires this time. It was evident that that he needed tires because Johnny Benson had got away from him. Jimmy Spencer is the guy that got the benefit out of that caution flag, getting his lap back. Earnhardt gets his 4, and he's away.
All of these pit stops at lap number 189 as we are working under the caution, 7th of the afternoon. We're live in New Hampshire. Lap 189 of 300. Remaining on the lead lap as we are a lap away from going back to green. We're under caution, of course, because of this incident in lap number 188. And Jeremy Mayfield and Morgan Shepherd. With Mark Martin there watching. And there's what happened. What's the story on Mark Martin's car, Randy?
Katie Wallace going into 1. Okay, Steve Meal, I was just chatting with a broken idler arm. You don't hear that often. A steering component on the right front. Broke that also from contact with Morgan Shepherd, the oil tank located behind the driver's seat. They're working on that. They got a crack in it. So several problems for Mark Martin, but the steering, the major problem. They're going to take a little time to fix that.
That explains why everybody went by him and then he shot to the right, I guess. He had no control of the race car.
Yeah, that's a really strange part to break. They're a pretty beefy part.
What he would have, Eli, is just one wheel that would turn.
Yeah.
The right side would not turn, so when he turned it, it would react some, but it wouldn't turn like you wanted it to.
Yeah, you're right. You don't hear that very often.
No, it's whatever it was, it's not too good.
Yeah. Here we go. Lap 194 of 300. 206 remain. 106 remain, rather. Green flag. Jeff Gordon shows the way back off into the corner. Remember, Johnny Benson pitted, yielded the lead at lap 189. Gordon did not make a stop.
This is what I've been wanting to see all day long. This is Jeff Gordon leading right here, and the 28 car there of Ernie Irvin has been one of the quickest cars out there all day long. He's had some bad track position, but when he gets up to Jeff Gordon, we're going to see who has what in a hurry.
Bobby Hamilton on the move, also mid-pack. He picks up a couple of spots upon the restart. So the STP Pontiac being heard from again. Now remember, the 90 is not on the lead lap. Dick Trickle, he's being shown a lap down in 29th spot.
Eli, what I'm seeing, though, he's not hurting anybody right at the moment. He's running just as well as Jeff Gordon is.
Trickle was in the spotlight here on TNN a week ago in Milwaukee. Nearly winning at the Sears Auto Center's 250 at the Milwaukee Mile. Jeff Burton, with whom we're riding now, he's in 15th. Ted Musgrave and Joe Nemechek battling as well right around him. And a whopper of a problem for Joe Nemechek.
You know, how many times have we seen that today, you guys?
Oh, my, he's sitting in a bad spot.
It just takes a little bit of a tap getting in or in the middle of that left rear, and around they go, and it's hard into the wall.
Caution for the 8th time, lap 199, the Burger King machine. Now Jeff Gordon slowing down. They'll wait and see whether the leader got the caution or not. And that will depend, of course, whether the other cars who are around him are able to get back on the tail end of the lead lap. Nemechek okay. You see him letting that net down, and that means he's okay. And here's another look at what happened.
Ted Musgrave's on the inside there as they start in the corner. Nemechek goes on down in the corner pretty hard there. I would have to say he probably tried to get over, and they just touched. That's hard to say. I wouldn't want to call that either way.
You know, and what the problem is today is that, not really that it's a problem, but what's going on is that nobody wants to be out in that high groove. It's just not as fast as the low groove, so people are really fighting to get down. Normally, if Joe would just race around the outside the whole corner, but he doesn't want to stay around there, he'll fall back too far, so he's trying to get down too, and there's not room enough for two people in the same spot.
And this obviously a racetrack which legitimized Joe Nemechek when he beat Dale Earnhardt in that Busch Series race here in '92.
Eli, how much stuff is up there? Look at it coming off the car as he slides across there. You can just see the dust. I mean, there's a lot of debris on the outside.
There's Larry McReynolds down there on Ernie Irvin's team. What are we talking fuel-wise here, guys? These teams pitted at lap 189. Those who have just been in. Again, many did not pit. Hey, this thing could come down to fuel mileage again, too.
I would guess that they could probably go around 70 to 75 laps on fuel.
Glenn, what are you seeing on your calculator down there?
Eli, pretty much what Chad just said. They can go about 70 to 80 laps, depending on who you ask. That's why Jeff Gordon, Ernie Irvin, Ricky Rudd, Dale Jarrett, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, none of those guys came in this time because they're still not in the window of pitting now and making it all the way. They would fall about 20 to 25 laps short, so they got to stay out there. As I said a while ago, the way it stands right now, everybody has to pit one more time, so go as long as you can right now, and then, you know, ensure that you're going to be able to make it once you do make that pit stop the rest of the way.
Working caution, lap number 200 here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. It's the 8th time this afternoon we've used those yellow lights. You know what's coming up tomorrow? Kyle Petty's Ride Across America. That's, you know, that motorcycle ride that Kyle has taken for the last few years. Richard Petty's going to be on the show. Steve Grissom, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, Todd Bodine. A lot of good country music. Tracy Lawrence, Mark Colley, Colin Ray, Sammy Kershaw. It's all about Kyle's Ride Across America. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern. It'll repeat again at midnight, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I haven't had a chance to go. A lot of the media fellas have accompanied, and they tell me it's quite a get-together. I'm looking forward to seeing that tomorrow.
I'd like to make that ride one time. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Check it out, folks. Tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock Eastern time. 98 laps to go. Green is in the air. Here we go. Jeff Gordon, then Ernie, then Ricky Rudd. We talked about him earlier. The closer to 4 o'clock you get, closer to the front Ricky Rudd gets here. And you've got Dale Jarrett, 2 Robert Yates entries there in the top 4.
You have Morgan Shepherd running there in the 75 car in second place on track position, but he's a few laps down with some problems with his car. You see Ernie Irvin holding back just a little bit.
Right,
as they start. Oh, Ernie got sideways off the corner there.
And Morgan's in 29th spot. Dick Trickle did get back on the lead lap prior to that caution of moments ago. Bill Elliott's in the hunt now. In the 94, the McDonald's Ford.
Eli, that's a great run by Bill Elliott. He was about to go a lap down not long ago. Now he's all the way up to 5th. You see just behind him there, the 2 car of Rusty Wallace. He's running quite well right now.
And, you know, he really looked pretty spry in the garage area this morning. He was still using that cane, but I said, no, he looked pretty good. He goes, yeah. He said, this is really coming along. For the last week or so, I've really gotten to feeling a whole heck of a lot better. Running that way right now, too.
Just behind him in the 43 car there, you know, at one time he was off the pace, had a lot of damage to the left side of that car, but he's running in 7th place right now. Bobby Hamilton's who I'm talking about.
Mark Martin's back on the racetrack. If you are a Mark's fan, he is 16 laps down. If you follow the Valvoline Ford, Mark Martin's back out there 16 laps down. We ride with Jeff Burton. He's in 14th. Terry Labonte ahead of him in 13th. Johnny Benson is 12th. Lake Speed is in 11th.
You can see that Dale Jarrett had moved up another spot there. He got by Ricky Rudd just a second ago.
And closer to the front. Looking from 4th on back now. Dale Jarrett having made the move around Ricky Rudd. So he'll close in on his other Robert Gates teammate, Ernie Irvin. They're going 2nd and 3rd right now. Rusty Wallace driving PR-18, not one of those new Penske chassis, but one of the older cars. It's winless, that's why it has no name. It is going by Penske Racing number 18. But it does have 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s, that particular Miller car.
I was just thinking, Rusty Wallace, it'll have a real name before long if it don't win soon.
Biding his time, Rusty is. Front, Jeff Gordon still showing the way. Took the lead at lap number 190. There he is on the left of your screen. And the separation from himself back to Ernie Irvin, the 28. And Morgan Shepherd in the 75 is a lap down. Jeff Gordon won this race last year from 21st starting spot, if you remember, had to qualify 2nd round after wrecking in time trials and wishpole qualifying. Went on to lead, what, 126 laps here last year. Started midfield today, 16th spot.
Well, they've adjusted on the 24 car much of the day today. They seem to be running well, but now we have the matchup. Ernie Irvin is cleared to the car of Morgan Shepherd now. I think if he gets up there, we're going to see a whale of a race, because I really believe the 28 car may be the fastest car on the Speedway.
It will be. There is Ernie right there. One of the big stories this year have been super speedways, particularly for Jeff Gordon. He has 182 fewer points on super speedways than Dale Earnhardt. Jeff has 3 DNFs this year with Daytona and Rockingham earlier, remember, as the big stories there. Earnhardt has only failed to finish the 1 race at Pocono when he came home 32nd. So super speedways have been a big story in Jeff Gordon's year. You look from 4th on back. Rusty Wallace in 6th. Bobby Hamilton 7th.
See Rusty looking to the inside there. Bill Elliott running very, very well, though. He closed the door back. Rusty's able to run a low line through the corner. Seems to be handling well. But here, Chad, you just don't pull out and blow by somebody unless you have a tremendous kick from the center part of the corner off.
Yeah, there's no question about that. It's a tough place to pass it, as we talked about all day long. And one other thing we have working against us is that outside group just isn't the place to run today. So you really have to be quite a bit quicker the car in front of you. You got to get position on them, get the car turned, and like we said, drag racing down the straightaway. Then we've seen what happens if you try beating them into the corner, and you bump them a little bit on the left rear quarter panel there.
That's the progression you've been watching for the STP Pontiac. Meanwhile, right now, Jeff Gordon leads the race. And you know, if this race ended right at this very second, Gordon and Earnhardt will be tied in points. But it's not ending. They've got some 70 laps to go.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Jiffy Lube 300 on TNN is brought to you by tangy Heinz 57 steak sauce. Let's eat.
Folks enjoying themselves here at the Bears' beautiful racetrack, New Hampshire International Speedway, where next year there will be 2 NASCAR Winston Cup dates. There you see the interval and how it has varied over the last few laps from the leader back to Ernie Irvan.
Or hasn't varied. Really.
Or hasn't varied, right. Lap 237. Glenn Jarrett has an update on pit road.
Well, this update actually goes to the Concord Memorial Hospital. We just got an update on Donald Labonte. She has been released from the hospital.
Something's wrong with Gordon. Something's wrong with Jeff Gordon. Not to cut you off, Glenn, but something is wrong with the DuPont Chevy. He went into the corner, and all of a sudden, something happened. Whether it's an ignition problem or an engine problem, who knows? But that quickly, the complexion of this day has changed. There's your new leader. Ernie Irvan takes over the lead at lap 238.
Eli, whatever it is, he went on the pit road where you come down out of the groove. You can see he's way away from the racing surface. He's coming to the pits. It's something he can't fix.
And there you see the one man's poison is another man's passion, the glee in the Ernie Irvan pit area. Here comes Jeff Gordon now, as you see, just slowly coming down the pit lane. Ooh, there's a heartbreaker. Glenn, let's get back to you.
Evidently, it appears that the battery's gone out on it, Eli. They brought the spare battery out here. It's ready to be put into the car, but nobody's saying much right now. They're awfully disappointed. To finish what I was going to say, Donald Labonte has been released from the hospital. She passed a kidney stone, so she's already out of there. Unfortunately, Jeff Gordon's on his way in here.
Glenn, talk to the new fans in the sport. How easy or difficult to change a battery? It's not where it normally is located in the passenger car, is it?
No, it's not. Normally, it's behind the left rear, or right in front of the left rear tire. He coasted in. They're also suspecting it might be a distributor problem. They really don't know. When you have electrical problems, the first thing you do is to check the ignition. You switch to the other ignition. If that doesn't do it, you got to bring her in and find it out. It's completely dead. He coasted in. They are looking at the distributor right now. Evidently, the battery will be the last resort, but he has no power whatsoever.
And remember, we told you earlier, folks, not to just to remind you that it has been the super speedways that have been a bugaboo this year, with Gordon earning 182 fewer points than Earnhardt on the big tracks, including that 42nd finish at Daytona to open the year, 40th at Rockingham. Here comes Rusty Wallace now inside that window of opportunity. Lap 241, the final pit stops. Randy is there waiting.
This will be the final pit stop. It's going to be right side tires, a can and a half of gas. Here's what they're gambling on. If they catch a caution, they won't have to come back in, but Ernie Irvan will. That would line Rusty Wallace up ahead of him on the racetrack for the restart. The 2018 peering on as they watch the 2 team with a pit stop. They're getting ready. Earl with the can of gas. Aaron Barber. Got it away. Rusty's gone.
And there they go. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, this is the battle for 6th you're looking at. Terry Labonte around Dale Earnhardt. Give him a spot.
Eli, I think what we're going to see now, and Bobby Hamilton just coming down the pit road, is kind of confirming that the teams that are willing to take a little gamble right now, they're going to come in, whether or not they need to, exactly on this lap and gamble that there won't be any more cautions in this race. They're going to come in, just take on fuel. The teams that don't, they're going to pit later, putting them behind the guys that are coming in right now. So it's a little bit of a gamble. We call it short pitting here, and it could pay off if the race goes green the rest of the way.
Last year, you remember at Dover, Delaware, some short pitting forced the hand. Bobby Hamilton, in that instance, short pitting, forcing the hand of Jeff Gordon a year ago at Dover. So it does sometimes force strategy to change. Here comes Bill Elliott. He's on the pit lane. Here comes Ernie Irvan now. He'll be making his stop to the attention of Larry McReynolds and the crew. Back to Randy.
Well, you called it right, Chad. They short pitted the car. They wanted to get a couple of fresh laps or fresh tire laps out of that for the 2 car. Ernie Irvan brings the Haviland Ford to a stop. Norm comes to meet you with the gas can. The first can is in. It's going to be right side tires. Nice job cleaning the grill. Cleaning the grill. Here goes the second can. Norm shakes his head. We got enough. Down and away. Joey Knuckles nearly clipped on pit road. Great stop.
Here comes Dale Jarrett. So the other of the Robert Yates entries, the Ford Quality Care entry, is in. Lap 245. Glenn, here comes your brother.
however much gas they feel they need. I'm watching the gas can right now. They're going to put a little bit of the second one in. They still got time. The car's up. He's down and away. It's going to be close. They only got about a third of that second can in.
Kenny Wallace is on the pit lane. Lake Speed is in. You're looking at Robert Presley right now as he continues his way around the racetrack. The lead now being handed off towards Ricky Rudd at this stage of the day, as Ricky now is showing as the race leader. Behind him, you'll have the 33, Robert Presley, then the 5, Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt behind him. That's how they're running at this moment at lap number 246. If you're a Jeff Gordon fan, he is still on the pit lane. Hood is still up on the DuPont Chevrolet. And there is the race leader. Just for the record, it is exactly 4 o'clock. And I said at 4 o'clock we'll be talking about Ricky Rudd as the leader. Did I not? Did I not?
As a matter of fact.
Matter of fact, everybody gets lucky every now and then. Lap 247, he's showing the way. But this has been typical of a guy who's used to a slippery track, a greasy track, the later in the day. But this is far from over, certainly.
Eli, I think the people or the guys running up in the front right now who didn't pit in that sequence we just saw, obviously they don't need to pit for fuel to fit right now, but what they're gambling on now is a caution. You either had to come in when those leaders came in, or you gamble on a caution. And I think that's what we're seeing Ricky Rudd, Robert Presley, and Labonte do right now.
The other good part that we've watched all day long is fresh tires. They're not that important. You can run fast on used tires, so a splash near the end of the race, you're still in there.
Dale Earnhardt, he's in 4th spot. If you're just joining us, John Andretti's out for the day. Accident. Same with Dave Marcus. Derek Hope with engine problems. Darrell Waltrip was in an accident. So too Jeremy Mayfield, Joe Nemechek. Mark Martin was on in the garage area. He is back 16 laps down. Rick Mast makes his stop now at lap 250.
He said Earnhardt's planning to stop somewhere around 278. So we'll just have to wait and see. But he's losing some ground right now. He's not right up to speed like he was, as you see Jeff Burton really working on him here.
That would still be 28 laps from now. On the racetrack, Ricky Rudd, here he comes out of turn 4. He will stop. Here comes your race leader now. Ricky Rudd coming down the pit lane slowly. Let's go down to Randy.
Well, the later you come in, the less gas you need to put in the car. That means less time stopped here on pit road. So Ricky Rudd gambling with that strategy. They go around the right side. It's going to be 2 tires, nice clean windshield for these final few laps. They get ready for the second can of gas. First can finished. Second can hits its mark. It's in. Around a wedge. Couldn't get it in the hole.
Meanwhile, there's your race leader, Robert Presley. The man in second is Terry Labonte. That is now the new battle for the lead at lap 251 of 300. This one is still anybody's race as we're heading down the stretch. We continue here at New Hampshire International Speedway. That's your leader, Terry Labonte. But you see ahead of Terry, there's the 33, Robert Presley. He is already pitted. Took on the tires at lap 252 and has now come around and has unlapped himself. So for some reason, Buddy Baker, whereas the big tire changes didn't show that much speed early, here later in the afternoon it seems to be more of a fact.
Eli is really showing up right now, and I think you need that forward bite. The racetrack right now is pretty slick, and you need that forward bite. New tires are giving you that. Jeff Burton is really gaining up on Terry Labonte as we speak here.
Right. Today we ride with Jeff Burton. We have already had records today. 21 lead changes. That is a new record for this track. The old record set back in 1994. We have had 14 lead drivers today. That is also a new record. It was just bypassed moments ago in the sequence here when Ernie led, then Dale Jarrett, then Ricky Rudd, Robert Presley again, and Terry Labonte again. So 21 lead changes, 14 drivers involved in that exchange. Both marks are new records for New Hampshire International Speedway.
Well, Well, as we watch Terry Labonte, you look ahead up about 2 cars in front there. Robert Presley just passed the 5 car of Terry Labonte and is almost about a half a straightaway ahead, so new tires are really paying off right now.
Now we're just 41 laps from the finish. It is getting down to nitty-gritty time. Terry Labonte last stopped at lap 189. We're now at 260. Just joining us, Sterling Marlin there, the number 4 Kodak machine. He's already a couple laps down, about to go a 3rd down. They've been down a cylinder much of the day. Jeff Burton's giving it a heck of a ride here in the 2nd spot. He's going to have to stop too. He stopped at 189 as well.
I was just fixing to say, don't go there, Jeff. He looked to the outside on Sterling Marlin there, decided better of it. Now he's passing on the inside. That outside groove is very slick.
Going around Greg Sachs. There you see Kenny Schrader in the 25. He's in 4th. Johnny Benson in the 30 is in 5th. You've got Bill Elliott's machine there, having already pitted in this sequence in 2:44, so he's not battling right now with Schrader and Benson. The 94 machine is back in 23rd spot. Still a number of teams haven't pitted. Presley, Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Jeff Burton, Schrader, Benson, Michael Waltrip's not pitted yet. Jimmy Spencer's not been in. They'll be in shortly. We'll be here to cover it for you as Gary Dehart, Terry Labonte's crew chief, checks the clocks and plots strategy. It's not brought out of caution because he is spun on pit road, and for the moment is not blocking the entire entrance, but that is Randy McDonald from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And obviously his Diamond Rio machine now refires, and we are going to stay under green. Here come the leaders now. The leader is Terry Labonte, has to pit here soon. Jeff Burton behind him, he also has to pit. Schrader hasn't pitted. Earnhardt and Benson and Waltrip and all the way down the line. So this race still up for grabs. Here's what happened to Randy McDonald.
You see him coming in the pits right here. A little bit quick. Puts the brakes on. Look at the back of the car come around.
You fellas have told me, and Chad, the guys tell me that the hardest thing, especially when a super speedway, but I guess anywhere, is coming down from 200 miles an hour on a big track to hit your little pit stall at 65 miles an hour. You guys make it look so easy, but that's probably, so many fellas say, the toughest thing, or one of the toughest things to deal with.
Well, what even makes it more difficult is you want to do it without losing any time coming in, so you want to come in as fast as possible. Remember, you're under green when you're coming in like that, so you want to come in from 200 miles an hour to 65 without losing any time. If the time you lose coming in the pits is hard to make up, so that's what makes it difficult.
Hut Strickland is in. Bobby Labonte is in. That's how the points as of this very moment would stack up. Jeff Gordon is back on the track, folks. He is 26 laps down in 34th position. So Gordon would lose about 146 points in the exchange, Glenn.
Yeah, he's only going to run long enough, Eli, till they figure out that he can't gain any more points. Remember earlier in the race he had an ignition problem? Well, that box was down, so they only had the one they were running on. When this one went out, he couldn't switch it over, so they had to go back to the truck to get another ignition box. That was the problem all along.
So those are the stories right there for Jeff Gordon. Here comes Burton. Jeff Burton is on pit road now as you watch Ernie Irvin and Ted Musgrave. Burton is in at lap 268.
But this will be fuel only. He only needs just a splash, and that's what they gave him. There was no point in changing tires because he was not going to be in here long enough to wait on tires. All he needed was a little fuel. He's down and away. Boy, that was quick.
So now we wait and see everybody else coming in shortly. There's Ernie Irvin. Ernie being shown in 6th spot right now.
He's exactly a half a lap behind right now. His 28 car is a half a lap behind Jeff Burton. So him just taking on that splash. So it's going to take a good set of tires to run down a half a lap.
going to take a real good set of tires to run down a half. There's no question about that.
And earlier he pitted lap 244, Ernie did. Norman Koshimitsu put in about 1.5 cans of fuel.
Johnny Benson's now on pit road, as is, here comes Jeff and Brett Bodine. They haven't pitted yet either. Benson just took a splash of gas, and he's off again as well.
There you see the Bodine brothers, Brett on the right, Jeff on the left. Johnny Benson, as Chad told you, just in quickly, and now back on the racetrack. Ernie Irvan and Ted Musgrave.
3 cars that haven't really pitted yet, and that's Labonte, Schrader, and Earnhardt. Those are the ones left that are out in the front, and so we're kind of waiting. The whole field's kind of waiting to see what they're going to do.
Michael Waltrip also has not made his stop in this sequence, and Michael is on the lead lap, running in 4th position. Now, wouldn't it be something if a caution came in?
Wow.
That ever
I guarantee you,
throw the big old wrench in there.
the guys that hadn't stopped would love to see it, but the rest of them are praying right now.
We're at lap 272. Looking across the way to the Kellogg's pit, we can see them already grabbing the gas can. Here comes Michael Waltrip. There you see the Terry Labonte pit crew waiting. Michael Waltrip is in at lap 274 to the attention of the Wood brothers. Again, just a splash of fuel, and off he goes. Terry not coming in this time. We're waiting also for Schrader and Earnhardt. And then you would cycle around to Ernie Irvan.
Ernie Irvan and Dale Jarrett will then be the leaders.
Yep. Wally Donnenbach is in. He'll make his final stop at lap 274.
We heard that Earnhardt was going to stop on 278, so we're getting very, very close. Here comes Labonte down the pit road.
So Terry Labonte will come in at lap 276 to the attention of the crew. Should be a quick stop. Randy?
Towards the man of the hour. He's the guy with the gas can. The fuel is in, down, and he's gone. Terry Labonte with a very quick stop. Where's it going to put him? We'll know in a minute.
So he leads from 254 to 276. You're looking at the new leader right now in the Jiffy Lube 300. Kenny Schrader takes over the top spot. But here he comes. Kyle Petty is also on the pit lane.
And Earnhardt's coming right behind Schrader.
So these stops will come at 277. That will give the lead to Rick Mast for the moment. He is also on the lead lap. And now with a showing Mast as everything cycles around as a lap down, it will give the lead over to Ernie Irvan. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Earnhardt is in. They said they were going to put 5 seconds of fuel in it. It was only 3 if it were that much. So they're taking a bit of a gamble there, but he was down and away in less than 3 seconds of fuel.
So everything is cycled around. Ernie Irvan showing the way, 24 laps from the finish. But it's not over yet. Everybody, the final 21 laps now to unfold here in New Hampshire as the number 28 with Ernie Irvan at the wheel showing the way. Dale Jarrett is running in the second spot. Just think back to about 1:15 this afternoon when the first caution of the day, that backstretch spin, involved Dale Jarrett and Joe Nemechek. Dale's now very much back in the picture, but he's about 4 seconds behind Ernie Irvan. And there you see the last time Ernie Irvan won. Sears Point International Raceway in May of '94, his 12th career victory. And certainly, though, his comeback is long since complete from the injuries of Michigan. This would certainly put a capper on it. There is the Western Auto Mechanic of the Race Award winner, Larry McReynolds. Just getting that word. Plotting all the strategy today, and a deserving honor for him.
I know Ernie Irvan had to take a breath just a second ago. We had Jimmy Spencer kind of get way out against the wall. We thought he was going to make contact. He did get it back. It looked like it might be a caution. I know they don't want it right now. Ernie's worked hard for this lead.
And there you see Robert Yates, who owns the team, and There you see Larry McReynolds, the Western Auto mechanic of the race today. Our brethren over on the radio side discussing that honor with him, and we congratulate Larry as well. Jeff Gordon has gone to the garage area. Statistically, he could not have stayed out there and picked up any more positions. The car was still running, but he will finish in 34th. He could not improve any more, so he is staying in the garage area now for the final few laps of the day. His afternoon done. The car wasn't getting around particularly well anyway after the electrical problem.
Eli, what must be going through Ernie Irvin's mind right now? You talk about complete domination. He's showing it right now. His return to winner's circle would certainly be an emotional thing for everyone, don't you think?
No doubt about it. Dale Jarrett, though, trying to chase him down as best he could. Right now, it looks as though a 1-2 sweep for Robert Yates Racing. Everybody's got the stopwatches going. That's Todd Parrott. You look at crew chief for Dale Jarrett. Now 5 1/4 seconds. Actually, a bit more this time. There you see the separation. 5.409. Ernie Irvin, 4 top 10s in the last 5 races. So that team has really been coming on.
He's been strong all day. We've talked about he could turn down in the center part of the corner. This car has worked flawless all day. Now all he has to do is hold on for about 11 more laps.
Fifth at Daytona, about 10 laps away now from victory lane.
I'll bet these last 10 laps going to be quite long to Ernie inside that race car. What do you think, buddy?
That's when you start hearing every noise that can be known to man. You start hearing things that are really not there, but right now I'm sure he's concentrating on running a good line around here, and that's what makes him a champion. He's able to do that and put all this other stuff behind him. Right now he just does not want to give the race away.
You know, as strong as he's running too, you almost hate to have somebody tell you only 10 laps to go. But he sees that flagman will put out 10 fingers and he'll count them down for him, and his spotter's telling him just to finish the race out. But, you know, Ernie's kind of like, leave me alone. I want to finish this race, and then we'll celebrate.
You know, the emotion of this whole weekend, you had the local favorite from Newburgh, Maine, Ricky Craven, get the Busch pole, and you saw the outpouring of emotion early in our telecast today as we took you back to Friday. This will be such a hugely emotional victory lane, certainly after the accident at Michigan. And like we said, there's no question Ernie's come way back anyway. I mean, the comeback is complete, but this is really going to be the challenge.
The icing on the cake.
Behind Ernie and Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd's third, Jeff Burton is fourth, Terry Labonte is fifth, Robert Presley is running sixth, Kenny Schrader is seventh. Running in the 8th spot now, Johnny Benson, great run for him. Rusty Wallace is 9th, Dale Earnhardt 10th, Dick Trickle is 11th, 12th is Michael Waltrip. Ted Musgrave runs 13th, then Rick Mast, Bill Elliott. On down the line, that's your top 15 as of this moment.
Eli, first and second, very important. Look who's in fourth. Just kind of silent, sitting right there. Terry Labonte running fifth.
Oh, Terry. When you talk about the guys who are battling for the point lead, Terry is ahead of Dale Earnhardt, way ahead of Gordon. Obviously, Dale Jarrett in second now is ahead of the others, but he is many, many points down. There's Dale Jarrett. Still not at all out of the championship hunt by any stretch. But he does trail the others by a significant margin here into the second half of the season. There's the spread of the leader. It'll be 5 to go the next time by. Michael Waltrip. He's running there in 12th. Just ahead of the race leader.
Look at these guys now. They know Ernie's coming up behind them. I guarantee you they'll give him the race track. This close to the end. They know where everybody's at. They'll move over and let Ernie by.
Larry McReynolds. He's still talking to Ernie, though.
Oh, yeah. You talk every lap. That's what he's all about.
The on-off switch, you see them go to their earpiece. That's where the on-off switch to activate the microphone is. If you're not familiar with that, you see the fellas reach up to those new earpieces. That's where they trigger the microphone.
cushion, and that's why they're talking to him right now. They said, okay, Ernie, they're running pretty good right there. You have enough cushion. Don't do anything on the outside of the groove there.
I agree with you 100%. I think what we just saw Larry McReynolds and Ernie talking about is don't push the issue here. You know, you've got a comfortable lead. You've got 4 laps to go. Let's just give yourself a little bit of a room in case something happens in front of you there.
The 28 team hasn't won since Pocono last July. Randy, I bet the tension down there, you can cut it with a knife.
Eli, they had talked to the 21 team, the spotters had conferred, said Ernie would like to just ride behind you as you see him mixing it up, going into turn 1 and coming off a 2, but that was a close call right there, but the tensions are definitely high. These guys getting ready to celebrate, and deservedly so. It's almost over for Ernie Irvin.
Around Kyle Petty. Musgrave and Michael Waltrip ahead of him.
I just karate chopped Chad over here.
I saw that.
I was watching him go into 3 over there, and Ernie got on the outside, scared me pretty bad.
Just ahead of Ernie there moments ago. That's where the karate chop came.
I'm all right, guys.
They'll be coming to the white flag. Ernie Irvin trying to become the 7th different driver to win here in 1996.
Eli, there's about 110,000 people that are on their feet right now cheering Ernie Irvin on.
Well, if you don't have goosebumps on your legs and arms now, you don't have feelings, is all I can tell you.
Taking it easy now. He's got a 6-second lead. Since Sears Point in May of '94, and near life-threatening injuries since, Ernie Irvin battled back. He's now a quarter mile from capping off that comeback. The fans going wild. Ernie Irvin, he's back in victory lane. And look at the celebration in the Texaco Haviland pit area. Randy, we see you right there in the middle of it, man. He's looking on, watching the celebration.
We've got Larry McReynolds here. If I can get my cameraman to turn around for the celebration. Larry McReynolds, congratulations. A long wait over for you, this race team, and that driver who's a great one, Ernie Irvin.
I mean, I don't know what to even really say. This is a long way from that hospital in Michigan back in August '94, and we knew we had it. I mean, what a great day for Robert Yates Racing, 1-2, and man, how about Ernie? Is he not smooth? Just a great car all day, and I think we're going to see a Polish victory lap here. Been a long time since we've seen one of those. But guys in the pits did a great job. Track position was everything. I just want to say hello to Eric Horn back home recuperating from back surgery. I got an aunt in Birmingham I'd like to say hello to, and all the guys back at the shop. Got a Polish victory lap.
Okay, and not bad strategy from the crew chief down here, Larry McReynolds. Robert Yates teams had a great day this afternoon.
And what a weekend. The emotion is something to behold. Ernie Irvin, he's back where he belongs in victory lane. We'll join him in a moment. To victory lane, but it just feels like a quick hop, skip, and a jump. And there's Ernie Irvin finishing his victory lap and slowly coming down the pit road, accepting the cheers of the fans. Other crews have been out there. It's just an emotional day. Crew members from the Ricky Rudd team stopping him. Other crew members from Dale Jarrett, from the Cartoon Network team. Everybody wants to be a part of Ernie Irvin's return to victory lane. Terry Labonte will take over the point lead. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit. But this emotion should be something. You heard Bill Broderick from Unical Corporation say it's been a long time. It's just so special to watch.
Go on up with him, Ernie.
Yes!
Ernie Irvin back in victory lane. First time since his injuries. Glenn Jarrett, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Eli. And I tell you what, this thrills me to death to be the first person to talk to you. First of all, welcome back to victory lane, and I wasn't sure you were going to get here.
I tell you, I did like Larry wanted to a Polish victory lap, and
that's in honor of Alan Quickie and Davey Allison. And, you know, it's great what we've been able to do. And it's not just me, it's the whole race team.
Well, Ernie, I got to ask, you know, those last few laps when you came back out and everybody, those pit stops cycled around, you were in the lead. I bet those last 20, 30 laps were a long time.
Well, they were, but I just stayed focused on what I had to do and didn't really think about winning until the last lap.
What, in terms of what this does for you and as well as this team, you've had your ups and downs this year. I asked you about a week ago to give yourself a report card. You felt like that you told me, you said, well, I'll be back when we get to victory lane. Here you are. I think you guys are there.
Well, I think so. You know, the team's really worked real hard. We struggled at the beginning of the year. Some my fault, some theirs. It's just part of it, you know. And it's amazing that we made it back to victory lane. And, you know, Daytona was great, but this is where it's all about, the Winston Cup. I got to say hi to Kim, my wife, and Jordan, because they're not here.
Well, that's too bad. The family not here to celebrate, but I'll guarantee you there's going to be a big celebration when they get back to North Carolina.
And I told you during the opening of our telecast when Ernie's dad came by. Remember, Vic Irvin came by and said, Eli, keep an eye on us. We got a car that can win. And as they always say, Father knows best.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Jiffy Lube 300 on TNN has been brought to you by Miller Lite, proud sponsor of the Miller Racing Team. We race for beer. And by Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
Fans heading on home from New Hampshire International Speedway, and Ernie Irvin's going home with the victory tucked away, the 13th of his career. We'll take a look at the finishing order right there. And a lot of fellas led today, Chad Little. A lot of good runners in that bunch.
Well, the way today worked out, it was just kind of interesting for everybody because you had a lot of some green flag. You had a lot of cautions, first of all, with those accidents we saw, but then you had some green flag pit stops, so it cycled the whole thing through. It was kind of got a little bit of everything today, I think.
The brothers Bodine in 15th and 16th position. Bobby Hamilton started outside of the front row, comes home in 20th, driving for the King. Bobby Hillen was running in the top group for a good while. Pole sitter Ricky Craven had a number of pit stops midway through, finished in 26th. Kyle Petty, 28th. Greg Sachs down in 30th in the Cartoon Network entry. And there you see the other finishers here today. Engine problems for Derek Culp, accidents for Mayfield, Waltrip, Marcus, Andretti, and there you have the 40-car field for today's running of the Jiffy Lube 300 at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Down in the garage area right now, there is the dyno you have heard so much about, and Ricky Rudd's side entry going up on the chassis dyno right now.
Wonder who they have at NASCAR that can fit in Ricky Rudd's seat.
Well, someone's going to be down there cranking her up, and that's what's going on down in the NASCAR Winston Cup garage area right now, just about 25 minutes or so after this race has concluded. Let's remind you again that a few cabins are still available for the TNN Motorsports second annual NASCAR Family Cruise, December 9th through 13th. A whole host of us will be there. I'll be along. A lot of the drivers. Call that number, 1-800-227-8605 for more information. Coming up tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Kyle on the motorcycle, the ride across America. A number of NASCAR Winston Cup drivers and personalities, some good country music tomorrow at 8, being replayed again at midnight to Eastern Time tomorrow. Immediately following our broadcast, stay tuned for Bill Jordan's Real Tree Outdoors, followed by Buckmasters and Hank Parker Outdoor Magazine. That's all coming up here on TNN, so don't you go away. And, of course, tonight, the PM edition of Race Day with Rick Benjamin at the microphones. Hope you can make your plans to tune in for that. Been quite a day, quite a weekend. We've had emotion, we've had hurricanes, we've had Ernie Irvin back in victory lane, and Chad Little, we've had you. Good to have you with us again.
Well, Eli and Buddy, I sure thank you, and I learn a lot every time I come up here, and I look forward to working with you again.
We look forward to it again as well, and Buddy Baker will see you soon. Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton down on the pit lane in the garage area doing a fine job today, and we thank you so much for spending your weekend with us here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Next weekend, Pocono, Pennsylvania, then on to Talladega, Alabama as the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in the middle of a busy, busy stretch. But for now, we are out of time. For all of us here at TNN Motorsports, I'm Eli Gold. Thanks for being with us, and a big hearty congratulations for Ernie Irvin He returns to where he belongs, victory lane in NASCAR.